And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Chenier versus Irby. Step forward, please.
21-year-old stockperson Chris Chenier is suing his ex-girlfriend, 21-year-old student Jessica Irby, for the cost of 2 rings he bought for her. Chris says Jessica's a cheater.
Don't get comfortable, Bird. This is not going to take long.
I'm never comfortable.
Good. How old are you?
I'm 21.
How old are you?
21.
You want money back from her for a couple of rings that you bought her, and you say she promised to give you the money back.
Yep.
Yep. Try yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. What do you do for a living?
I work at Walmart.
And what do you do?
I don't have a job right now.
Do you live home?
Yes.
Do you go to school?
Yes, Your Honor.
What kind of school?
HCC, college.
Okay. Let me tell the story, because that way Bird won't get bored. Try to pay attention, Bird.
Yes.
When you were dating, you went with her to the mall.
Yes, Your Honor.
Very good. Quick learner. And according to you, she saw a ring that she liked.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because I read your papers very carefully. And she said, I really like that ring.
Yes.
And would you buy it for me?
Yes.
And you said, I'll only buy it for you if you really love me.
Yes.
That's what you said.
Yes, Your Honor.
And in what month was that, sir?
April.
And she said, I really love you.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you bought the ring.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then in June, she broke up with you.
Well, July.
Or July. Now, putting it all together, it is your claim that because she told you she loved you in April and broke up with you in July, she really lied.
Yes.
And therefore, she's not entitled to the ring.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Chenier, if she really loved you in April,
Yes.
she'd be entitled to the ring. It was a gift then. Is that correct?
Well, it was more of a promissory ring.
No. You just said that you said to her, I'll buy you the ring if you really love me.
Yes.
And she said, I really love you. And at the moment she did. Did you ever hear of Elizabeth Taylor?
No.
You never heard of Elizabeth Taylor?
No, I haven't.
How about Eminem? Did you ever hear of Eminem?
Yes.
Did you ever hear of Costa Rica?
I hear there are a lot of Americans in Costa Rica.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 21-year-old stockperson Chris Chenier is suing his ex-girlfriend, 21-year-old student Jessica Irby, for the cost of 2 rings he bought for her.
Mr. Chenier, you have to get over it, sir. She loved you in April. She didn't love you in July. You bought her the rings. She doesn't love you anymore. Put a period. Get over it. Goodbye. Have a happy life.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Now I know never to trust Jessica anymore.
I said I loved him, but I never once said I'd pay him for the ring back.
She cheated on me before I bought her the ring and after I bought her the ring.
I never cheated on him like he's trying to say I did.
She used me.
Feelings change, things happen.
I'm just not going to be friends with her anymore.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Cheek versus Bailey. Step forward, please.
19-year-old student Kevin Cheek is suing his ex-roommate, 21-year-old bank representative Blake Bailey, for the return of rent. Kevin says they were evicted after only 2 weeks.
Mr. Cheek, according to what I read, you rented a room from the defendant in his condo or apartment.
Yes.
You rented it in May of this year. Is that correct?
Yes.
You gave him $600?
Yes.
That was your monthly rent for the room.
Yes.
You moved in May 2nd, 2003.
Yes.
According to your complaint, something happened with the landlord of the whole place, not this young man. And they told everybody that they had to be out by the end of May.
Correct.
So you decided to leave May 19th. And you want him to give you all your money back.
Yes.
Why do you think you're entitled to any money back?
Because I paid him $600
That
when
I said.
moved in. Yes, and I wasn't informed. There's a few things I wasn't informed about when I moved in, such as the drug dealing going around the house. There was always people coming in and out, nonstop, and it was just always a problem around me, and I'm not into that. I don't do that, and I don't know, the landlord can actually add to that. He knows a little about that.
The landlord of it...
Nope.
The landlord told them they had to be out the end of the month.
I wasn't informed in that when I moved in. He never told me, the landlord told him the month before that they were to be out by next month. And I was never told that before when I paid him the money. He never told me that. And nobody had to pay rent. The landlord said, everybody move out, nobody pay rent, and just get out of here, you know? So there's no reason why I shouldn't get my $600 back if nobody else paid money. So, but there was other things I was actually told about.
No, he's just a interesting businessman. You wouldn't rent from the landlord. You rented from him. You paid $600 a month for your room for the entire month of May. You didn't like what was going on. You said there was drug deal, whatever was going on in the house. It started right as soon as you moved in.
Yes.
Correct? So you stayed there May 2nd, May 3rd, May 4th, May 5th, May 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, right?
Yes.
And you moved out the 19th.
Yes.
You could have stayed the 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th.
No, because there's too much going on. There was.
So listen to me. Listen to me, sir. Same thing that was going on May 18th would have been going on May 28th.
Yes.
You paid $600. Is it your complaint that he didn't pay any money, so why should you have to pay?
Yeah, I think it's totally he should pay, you know. It's money that wasn't given to the landlord. Landlord never
you gave it to your landlord. That's your landlord. He's not your landlord. You never signed a lease with him. Did you, sir, just answer this question. Don't move. On May 1st, did you ever meet with this young man?
No.
On April 29th, did you ever meet with this young man?
No.
Right.
I met him that month.
Shh.
Okay.
He's not your landlord. He was your landlord. Your contract was with him. You paid him the $600. You could have stayed there the whole month.
But I chose not to because I didn't want to.
Here we go. Listen, did you ever hear of the expression, Mr. Cheek, due diligence?
No, actually.
Due diligence means when you enter into a contract, in this case it was a verbal contract for rent, you're supposed to look into the circumstances surrounding that contract. So you could have, if you wished, contacted the landlord. That's this gentleman sitting over here who's dying to talk to me, but I'm not going to let him. And said, listen, I just want to know if everything's okay with this place, whether these people are okay, how long their lease is. Because I want to know if I'm going to move in, I want to be there more than a month. Because you had a month-to-month tenancy with him if you didn't have a lease. And you didn't have a lease with him, did you?
No.
So it's month-to-month. So you could have gone to the landlord and gotten that information. You chose not to. You lived there for a month. The fact that you chose to leave on the 19th, that was your choice.
Why should I pay that full month, though? That's not $600 worth of rent.
Okay. Let me ask you this question. I'm going to give you this analogy, Mr. Cheek, and then I'm going to just dismiss your case. But I'd like you to hear the analogy. Let's say you go into a delicatessen and you order a hot pastrami sandwich on rye, which costs $9.95 because of inflation. And you get the sandwich, and it's a very, very fat sandwich. And all you can eat is half. And the bill comes, and they give you a bill for $9.95. And you say, I'm not going to pay you $9.95 for the sandwich because I only ate half. I'm only going to pay you $4.50. The owner of the delicatessen says, listen, that's your problem. You could have eaten the whole sandwich. It's not my fault you sent the rest of it back. You chose only to eat half. You chose to leave on the 19th of May, Mr. Cheek. You had a choice. Your choice was to eat the whole pastrami sandwich or just half of it. Do you understand?
Yes.
Your case is dismissed. Goodbye. Have a happy life.
Versus pro cop. Step forward. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Miss Sturm, who is this little girl?
My daughter, and also my assistant teacher.
How old is she?
12.
Would you step outside, please? Because of the nature of these proceedings, Ms. Sturm, I don't think it's appropriate to have your daughter here. If I think that later on I require her to come in, I will. Mr. Spinner?
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, Ms. Sturm became a friend but was a dance instructor of yours. And you took a series of dance lessons from her. You were encouraged by her to enter a competition with her, and you were successful in winning a couple of medals at that competition, the two of you.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But that at some point she filed false allegations against you of sexual misconduct.
Right.
And you want to be reimbursed for all of your expenses that you had relative to that. And also, you want to be reimbursed for the unused dance classes that you took. And also, at least one of the medals that you received.
2 medals, Your Honor. 2 medals.
You received 2. You want either one or both. Ms. Sturm says that everything she said was true, that you did in fact make unwarranted and overt sexual movements towards her during the course of your dance and at other times, and whatever complaint she made about you was truthful and accurate, and therefore you're not entitled to recover. She also says that with regard to your dance lessons, the unused time, because you prepaid for a series of dance lessons, she told you that she had a no refund policy. Is that right?
Yes.
So that's her defense. So let me get some facts. How long have you known Miss Sturm?
We've originally dated in 1997. I met her at a singles dance, and we had a relationship that lasted about a year. And it was a kind of a rocky relationship, and then I ended it, or she ended it.
Okay.
And then after that, we both went our separate ways. She opened up a dance studio earlier this year, January of this year, and I went in about the middle of January. I congratulated her on her success in the dance business, and then I left. But I was in the market for looking for a new studio. I wanted to continue with my dance lessons, and I chose Miss Sturm because I knew that she had a good reputation for teaching dance. So I decided, well, I'll go ahead and I'll just try this and see what happens.
Okay, you went in to see her in mid-January to congratulate her. Then you decided you wanted to take dance lessons from her. When did you go back, or how did you contact her with regard to those dance lessons?
I started taking dance lessons from her in late February.
And what were the cost of these dance lessons?
She charged, for a set of 10, she charged $400.
And did you pay her the $400?
Well, originally I didn't do that. She has a $50 for one dance lesson a week. So that's what I did at the beginning. And then later on, I paid the $400 for a set of 10.
And had you been paying right along?
I was paying like for maybe a couple of sets of 10 before she denied her services to me. So I actually had done the set of 10 a couple of different times before this incident happened.
Okay. How many hours of lessons do you believe that Miss Sturm owes you?
Let's see, I gave her a check in June 3rd for check number 642 for $440 for 11 dance lessons.
Well, if in June you gave her $440 for 10, and was that the last money you gave her?
No, actually I gave her another $200, which was for group lessons.
Another $200 for group. So you think she owes you at least for 10?
$640 exactly.
Okay. Now, let me go to Miss Sturm. When did you make these allegations about his sexual misconduct?
When I did that, it was after I had expelled him verbally on June 15th.
Okay. And you made those complaints to whom?
2 different police stations.
You have a copy of the complaints that you made?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see. Ms. Sturm, I have some questions for you, madam. I want you to listen to me very carefully.
Okay.
I've read your answer very clearly, and I've read every word of your answer, and I've read the police reports. I want you to specifically tell me the date, time, and place of the sexual misconduct that you allege.
It was June 12th.
What did he do on June 12th?
That's when he lifted me up in the air and had his hand between my legs, and I told him to put me down.
Okay, that was June 12th. When prior to that?
It would be in the beginning of March. I would have to look at my card when I had lessons.
What did he do in the beginning of March?
He put his hand against my breast.
Where were you?
In my back part of my studio. I have 2 different rooms in my studio.
Were you giving him a lesson?
Yes, I was.
What did you say to him?
Don't do that.
And what did he say?
He just shrugged it off.
When was the next time?
Towards the end of March also was the incident when he first grabbed me and tried to kiss me.
Where was this?
In the second part of the studio, the back room, once again. It was just him and me in that room.
When was the next time?
Those were the incidents. There were various times we would be doing a routine when we were practicing, getting ready for competitions, and he would come up behind me and massage my shoulder, or we would be doing a routine and we'd practice a certain pattern because we'd go over and over, and he would reach out and start to hug me, and there was a lot of hugging going on.
Now, there was a time when you and Mr. Spinner traveled from South Bend to Chicago. And you traveled from South Bend to Chicago for the purposes of participating in a dance competition with him. Is that correct, Ms. Sturm?
Yes, it is.
When was that?
That was June 14th and 15th.
So am I to assume, Ms. Sturm, that the fact that he massaged your back in March, put his hand on your breast in March, grabbed you and tried to kiss you in March, put his hand up your crotch in June, did not discourage you from traveling with him on the 14th and 15th of June to Chicago for the purposes of participating in a contest with him?
I did confront him on the day.
I'm asking you a question. You went with him, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Now, what prompted you to make these allegations on June 24th, madam? Instead of in March, or April, or June 13th, before you went to the competition with him? What was it?
Okay, there was over 23 incidents over that time. You're right, I was putting up with it because, you know, I'd tell him he would, you know, he kept professing his great love for me. I do have...
Miss Sturm, let's understand each other. On the 15th of June, you told me that you cut him off. You told him that he was no longer welcome to come back and take lessons from you. Is that right?
Right, so I told him to get in the car and drive out of my life.
Fine. And you told him that on the 15th of June?
Right.
What did he do after the 15th of June?
Well, first he sent me this letter, Your Honor.
May I see it?
Yes, you may.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Tell me what else happened, madam, when you went willingly and not in a state of bondage to Chicago with him that inspired you to call the police and report sexual abuse on the plaintiff's part. Tell me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Robert Spenner says ex-girlfriend Angela Sturm falsely accused him of sexual misconduct and harassment. Angela claims while giving him dance lessons, Robert touched her inappropriately.
So what's wrong with this letter? This is not a letter that inspires you to make a report to the police. He's saying either I want my money back or apply the money that I gave you for group lessons towards private lessons. I'm disappointed with the way the weekend went. As far as he's concerned, you acted in an unprofessional manner, and nothing contained in this letter that I've read, absolutely nothing, suggests to me that it was an inspiration for you to contact the police. So tell me what else happened, madam, after the 15th of June, when you went willingly and not in a state of bondage to Chicago with him, that inspired you to call the police and report sexual abuse on the plaintiff's part. Tell me.
Actually, I was not...
Show me a letter. Tell me the rest. Did he come to your house to stalk you after the 15th?
No, he did it on May 20th.
Okay. Tell me what he did on May 20th.
On May 20th, he just showed up at my house at 2 p.m. and...
2 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Where most of my children were at home. I have 8 children. There were 6 of the children at home. He came to the door. My kids said, Mom, Robert Spenner wants to talk to you. And so I came to the door. I said, what do you want? He says, I want to talk in private. I said, no, you're not talking to me in private. You're going to talk to me in front of my children. And he said, oh, you cannot treat me like this, Angela. You know, what are you doing to me? You're being so mean. You're being so cruel. And then he said, I can't continue to talk to you in front of your children. And he left.
Keep going.
Okay, well, first off, a dance student does not come to their dance teacher.
Keep going!
Okay, so that's what happened there. And if you want to go back to, you know, I have all these love letters.
I don't want to go back at all. I want to go to a place after June 15th.
Okay, after I received that letter. Okay.
After you received this letter, which you received on June 16th.
Okay.
Let me ask you, did you respond to the letter?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I took it to an advisor.
Took it to a spiritual advisor?
No, a friend.
Ms. Sturm, if somebody writes you this kind of letter, which is not a hostile letter, it's a letter of disappointment, it's a letter of frustration, and you chose in a very unprofessional way not to respond to it at all, and you've already told him, according to you, get in your car and get out of my life. Don't come near me. I'm not giving you lessons anymore. I'm not doing anything. And he says, you owe me money. You owe me money. You choose to ignore him. He comes to your house, and he doesn't want to speak to you in front of your 8 children. He said, I want to speak to you privately. And you say, no, you talk in front of my 8 children. And you know what he does? He does what a mature person would do. He leaves. So I want you to tell me what happened after the 20th of June, which is when you say he came to your house at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, after the 20th, that inspired you to make a formal complaint of sex abuse to the police against the plaintiff after the 20th.
Okay. I was advised not to respond to the letter because the person was sad, was very angry.
Ms. Durham, did you hear my words?
Okay.
My words were after June 20th, because so far I've heard nothing that in my judgment gave you cause to call the police and to notify 2 different police officers that he had sexually abused you. So I want you to tell me, what was it after June 20th when he came to your home to talk to you about the problem, the lessons, the money, whatever, and did not behave in any aberrant way? What happened after June 20th that inspired you to go to the police? You have a window of 4 days, madam. Did anything happen?
Right, he kept contacting me after I told him to leave me alone.
Tell me when he contacted you after June 20th.
He sent the letters, and he also called my house on June 23rd, my son Matthew Price.
Just a second. He called your house on June 23rd?
Yes.
Did he speak to you?
No.
Who did he speak to?
My son Matthew Pryke.
Did you call the house on June 23rd, sir? Just answer me yes or no.
Yes, I did.
And did you speak to her son?
Yes, I did.
And what did you say to him?
Actually, when I called her, when I called her house, I was looking at my phone bill, and when you dialed *69, it shows the return, that whoever who called you. She called me at 2:30 in the morning, and I must have spaced out.
Do you have that?
No, I don't have that phone bill.
So is that why you called her?
So I was wondering who called me at this time, and it just didn't dawn on me it was her. So I called the number to find out who called me, and that's all that was. When I finally found out, when I recognized the voice that was her son, and I said, okay, I'm sorry, and I hung right up. I had no idea. If I knew it was her phone number, I would have never have called.
What else? June 23rd.
He called my house on June 23rd. I called his business on 6/24 at about 2 in the morning, because in the letter that you saw, Judge, he said that if I wanted to contact him about the lessons, to call him at his office.
So you called him at his office at 2 o'clock in the morning?
Yes, because I didn't want to talk to him. I wanted to leave it on his voicemail.
I have that recorded.
Just a second. Now, I want you to tell me what happened as a result of her filing this complaint against you with the police department. Were you contacted by the police?
Yes, I was contacted by a corporal, and I voluntarily went down to the police station. He said that there was a complaint filed against me.
Were you arrested, sir?
I wasn't arrested, but when I went into the interrogation room, he locked the door behind me and he read me my rights. And he didn't say, well, we're not arresting you.
Okay,
but
you voluntarily came in.
I voluntarily came in, but he locked the door behind me.
I understand. I understand, Mr. Spinner. Was this the first time you had ever been in a police interrogation room?
Right, it is.
What do you do for a living, sir?
I work at a homeless shelter, and I counsel the homeless on overcoming barriers to employment.
Okay. When, for the first time, other than this letter, did you ever ask her for your money back or for
yes,
lessons before?
I've contacted the Better Business Bureau. There was several correspondence with them.
Can I see the letters to the Better Business Bureau?
And I also have a letter that I sent to her directly, certified mail. And these are the letters to the Better Business Bureau and their responses back. I tried to keep this out of court. I tried to be as civil as I can, but I tried to use the Better Business Bureau to help with this.
On June 25th, you sent this certified?
That letter prompted her to call the police and said that, and that's when that letter prompted the harassment charges when I was asking for my money.
Now, the only thing that I haven't addressed yet that I just want some information are these 2 medals. Did you win medals with him, dancing with him as a dance partner? The answer is either yes or no.
Yes.
How many medals did you win?
3.
Where are they now?
1 is in the studio and 2 I have here.
Okay, can I see the 2 that you have here? Okay, these are the same. They're exactly the same. Is that right? What is the 3rd one that you have in the studio? Is that the same as this?
No, it's from Notre Dame.
So it's from a different competition?
Yes.
Okay, and was that on the same weekend in Chicago?
No, it was May 5th in Notre Dame, Indiana.
Okay. Suing her for $1,909.23. And according to your complaint, that represents money for filing these false charges against you, the dance lessons, and a little bit of aggravation, and the return of the 2 medals. Okay. Now, give one to him, give one back to her. Mr. Spenner, I want you to listen to me very carefully. I'm not getting into how many dance lessons are left, whether you gave her 12-year-old daughter a receipt. I'm not getting into any of that. As far as I'm concerned, the defendant abused the legal system and abused the police department and abused you by filing a false report that you had, in fact, sexually abused her. And I need not get into all of the details of how many lessons are owed. You are suing her for $1,900? Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm giving you a judgment for $1,900 against her. I find her actions absolutely unacceptable. She used the police department because you were asking for your money back. Clearly, nothing that she alleges that you did to her in March, in April, in May, or even in June inspired her to make this complaint. She freely and voluntarily went to Chicago with you. She freely and voluntarily danced in competitions with you after all of these alleged touchy-feely incidents. And it wasn't until after she terminated you coming into her studio after June 24th that she filed these complaints. I am appalled at that. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,900. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may.
Housekeeper Nita Bayer is suing former employer Kendra Hall for damages resulting from an injury she sustained in Kendra's home. Kendra is countersuing for the return of Nita's unearned wages.
Ms. Bayer, according to what I read in your complaint, you did some housework for Miss Hall. You fell in her house. You want her to be responsible for your medical bills and your lost wages. Ms. Hall says she's not certain that you fell in her house and injured yourself there. She's counterclaiming because she says that she paid you for an entire month and you only worked that one day. She wants you to refund to her the amount that she paid you for the remainder of the month when you didn't work. I have a few questions. Ms. Bayer, how long did you work for Miss Hall?
7 months.
How often did you go to her home?
Every Friday starting of March 2006.
How many hours did you spend there?
Usually I spent somewhere between 7 and 8 hours a day.
What was the date of this accident in the house?
It was November 3rd, 2006.
And she had paid you for the month?
Yes, she did.
What was your monthly salary?
It was $360. I received $90 a week.
Now tell me about this fall that you took in the house. Miss Hall was not at home.
That's right.
Go ahead.
I arrived to work and I started working in the kitchen. Then I went upstairs, stripped the beds, made the beds, and then I took all the laundry down to the laundry room, and the light bulb was burned out in the laundry room. So I went into the garage to look for a ladder, and I found a 3-foot ladder. I took down the fixture, which was full of bugs and dirty. I washed it, cleaned it, went upstairs, got light bulbs that are kept upstairs in the linen closet. When I came down, I went up the 3-step ladder, went to put the bulb in and lost my balance and fell against the wash and dryer on my left side. When I got up, I felt nauseous and dizzy, so I went outside and sat in a little brick fence that's in the backyard, trying to gain my composure. And then I finally went into the house. I took some Aleve, some Excedrin.
Stop 1 second. So it would be clear and fair to say that you did not fall because the ladder broke?
No.
Because there was any imperfection in the floor? You fell because you lost your balance?
That's right.
Nobody else's fault but yours?
That's right.
Okay. Go ahead.
So since she pays me monthly, $360, she had just left that check that morning, and I never thought anything was really seriously wrong with me, and I tried to continue to work. In fact, I did continue. I finished cleaning the house, even did the laundry, very slow. Usually I leave about 3 or 4 in the afternoon. She arrived about 5 o'clock, and she asked me, "Are you still here?" And I said, "Yes, I did something foolish today. I fell and I hurt my arm. I don't know what's the matter. It really, really hurts." She quickly ran to the phone, called her sister-in-law, who I also work for, and she said, "Nita fell changing a light bulb. Do you think my home insurance will cover her if I take her to the doctor?" She said, okay, thank you, hung up, ran to her office, came back with some papers and said, yes, my home insurance does cover it, but I have to pay a $1,000 deductible, of which I will not pay. And suddenly she wasn't concerned about me anymore. And she says, this is ridiculous. And I said, well, then you're not going to help me? And she says...
So you had asked her?
Yes.
Just a second. You didn't make that clear, Miss Bayer.
I'm sorry.
So you said to her, I finished working, but I hurt my shoulder. I want to go to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Will you pay for it?
I didn't say, will you pay for it? I asked her, can you help me? That's what I said.
Well, what did you want her to do to help you?
To take to the doctor. I figured, well, since I fell in her home, that...
So you felt she was responsible?
That's right.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you, Miss Bayer, but you left that out of your story. What you made it sound like was you told her that your shoulder was hurting. Without saying another word, she went over to the phone and called her sister-in-law.
Yes.
But that's not what happened. You said, I want to go to the doctor. Can you help me? Because you're responsible because I fell in your house. So she went to find out if that was true.
And she came back and found out that it was true.
What makes you think that if you have an accident in somebody else's home and it's your fault that they should be responsible?
Because I was under her employment at the time.
Well, that may be, but, you know, there is something that lacks common sense about that. I'm a common sense gal myself. What you told me was you fell and it was your fault.
Yes.
And you want somebody else to pay for it. That's what it comes down to. I mean, if you're taking it at face value, you may have fallen in her house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not necessarily saying that Ms. Hall should not have assumed this responsibility. But what I'm saying to you is it doesn't flow naturally. If you fall in somebody's house and there's nothing wrong with their house, the railing isn't loose and the steps aren't uneven and there's not a slippery floor and there's no ice in the front walk, well, that shouldn't be their fault. It's your fault. You fell. That makes sense to me. The fact that most jurisdictions have superimposed some liability on the part of homeowners if they have people working in their home, that irrespective of whose fault it is, they have to take the responsibility, that's something else. But I'm just telling you, from a common sense perspective, it doesn't make sense. It makes no more sense than if you were walking down the street in front of somebody's house and there was no ice, no snow, there was nothing wrong. You were thinking about something, you fell in front of their house, and you say, well, I fell in front of their house, I'm going to sue them. You fell because you weren't being careful.
I was being very careful.
Well, if you
Your
were being
Honor.
very careful, the ladder didn't move by itself. And if you were being very careful, that maybe you had a pre-existing medical condition that caused you to become dizzy. Whatever it wasn't her fault. It was an accident.
Yes, it was.
It was an accident. An accident that was your fault. Not her ladder's fault, not her floor's fault, not her light bulb's fault, not her light fixture's fault. It was your fault. Now, I say this to you because what you want is more than just your medical bills paid. You want medical bills and lost earnings and lost wages. Why should she pay for that?
It is still an ongoing problem, Your Honor. I have proof here.
It's your ongoing problem.
That's true.
Not her ongoing problem, it's your ongoing problem. And if what you're saying is that she should have taken care of the medical bills because she didn't want to pay the deductible, listen, she fell in your house. You know what the parameters are, right?
Yes.
That's what the law superimposes on you. I happen to think it's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense to me. But that's what the law says.
I understand that. Can I please tell you
Sure.
the side of the story that I believe to be the truth? Very
but
similar.
But let me tell you something. Don't go to where you don't think that she was injured because she's got things that she's prepared to show me that she hurt her rotator cuff when she fell.
She was injured. Where? I'm not sure, because when I came home from work that day, I put my things down, got my kids in the house as I always do, and she continued to work. And I didn't run to the phone and run to anywhere. She insisted, I'm hurting. Do you have insurance? I'm like, what? I was in shock.
Well,
and I
don't be in shock. She fell off the ladder, changing a light bulb in your house.
This is what she's telling me, okay? I don't know this. I really don't. Because
well, you weren't home.
She kept working.
She told me that.
Working, and she's a hard worker. She
told me that.
Is. But what I don't like is that I did not say I would not pay. She told me later on the phone, you should have just paid the $1,000. I called my insurance company to see. I said, well, I don't know if there's a deductible. I'll find out. You know, we'll take care of this. Oh, don't worry about it. I'll go to county where my husband goes. Her husband's very ill. He goes to county hospital for treatment. This is what she told me. That's why I dropped it. Later, her daughter calls me. My mother, she's going to need surgery, possibly. I'm like, what has this got to do with me?
Okay, well, that's what it has to do with you. Where are the medical bills that you paid?
Okay.
Your total medical bills so far are $1,047. I don't know what this is.
I totaled everything up, lost wages, the doctor bill.
I'm not giving you any credit for lost wages, madam.
Okay.
I believe that you should pay your medical expenses. But you were paid already for the full month when you didn't work, is that right?
On that paper in the blue I highlighted, I deducted the $270
Well,
that
I know,
owed
but you
her.
deducted it from $3,000.
Right.
I'm deducting it from the $1,047. $777. Now, it's $777 that your insurance company's not going to pay because you have a $1,000 deductible. It's your option to have a $1,000 deductible, right? You could pay more insurance and have less deductible. You choose to be a self-insurer for the first $1,000. Are you following me? You look at me like I'm talking another language.
No.
Right, but you got it, right?
I got it.
You got it. You owe her $777. Sounds to me it's fair and reasonable. I don't think you're responsible for the fact that she's not working. And you haven't worked since November?
No, I haven't.
Well, who knows when you're going to be able to go back to work?
Well, that's why I was asking for the lost wages to cover the existing bills that
She's
it
not
has.
responsible for your negligence.
Okay.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $777. That's all. Thank you.
John Allen claims former friend Karen Stevenson owes for a loan of $1,800.
Mr. Allen, it is your claim that the defendant borrowed some money from you. She's a former girlfriend of yours. Ms. Stevenson says that you're a con guy. She never borrowed any money from you. She doesn't know what you're talking about. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Go.
Okay. Yes, we were boyfriend and girlfriend, and we decided to part ways, and we remained friends. On about the middle of September, about a week before I actually loaned her the money, she called me in desperation, said Lisa had taken a checkbook that no longer existed, a checking account, wrote a check out for $1,800. She needed money, that the bank was pressing charges, and
she wrote out a bad check?
Yes, Lisa.
Is Lisa here?
No.
Where is she?
She lives in Florida.
Who does she live with in Florida?
Herself.
What does she do for a living?
She's a cashier.
Ever been arrested?
No.
Ever been charged with crime?
Lisa? No.
Lisa?
No.
Okay. Go ahead.
So at the time when she called me, she said, I need this money. If I don't pay
Look
this
at me.
$1,800 back.
For Lisa?
For Lisa, they're going to arrest me because it was drawn on my bank account. So...
Oh, just a minute. Where do you live?
Salisbury, Maryland.
You live in Maryland, and somehow Lisa got hold of one of her old checkbooks.
Yes, ma'am.
And Lisa forged a check for $1,800.
Yes.
But there was no longer an account.
Yes, ma'am.
And Lisa cashed a check in Florida.
Somewhere, I don't know actually, when she said, but it was a check written on this account, and it bounced, so the bank was going to press charges, and if she didn't pay the money back, they were going to put her in jail.
Put who in jail?
Karen. It's not true.
She didn't write a bad check.
Well, that's what she told me, ma'am.
That sounds ridiculous.
Okay.
I mean, doesn't that sound ridiculous? How old are you?
I'm 40, be 42 in March, ma'am.
42. What do you do for a living?
I have a few businesses. I'm going back to school, getting my real estate degree, and
What kind of businesses do you have?
I have a business running a company. I started in 1990.
What does it make? What does it do?
Well, I buy and resell food, as in like a Cisco or a U.S. food service.
You do that now?
No, right now I am in the process of going back to school. The company.
So now you don't do anything?
No, the company still exists. I'm collecting my accounts receivables and stuff like that. Yes, ma'am. I'm still in the process. I have real estate I'm selling. I do various different things.
Who do you live with?
I live with my brother right now. I'm in the process of selling my real estate, my home.
You're in the process of doing an awful lot, Mr. Allen.
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Are you in the process of going through a bankruptcy?
No, ma'am.
Did you go through a bankruptcy?
No, ma'am, I haven't.
Did you ever apply for a bankruptcy?
No,
Did you
ma'am.
ever consult with a lawyer about a bankruptcy?
Yes, I have.
When?
I consult with my lawyer in September, August, September, October, just discussing.
September of 2006?
Yes, ma'am.
About the same time that she was asking for some money?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, why would you consult with an attorney about a bankruptcy, sir?
I'd just gone through a divorce that, the settlement of property had to be dispersed. I had loans with my company, just seeking my different options, out there. It was discussed, but it was never gone through. I'm in a process of selling my assets to pay debts. That was my choice to do it that way. I want to make sure all of my bills are paid. That's why I'm selling my home, other real estate. I have a $1.5 million piece of business real estate that I'm in the process of selling.
What's the mortgage on it?
$790,000.
When did you purchase it?
I purchased it in June of '04.
In whose name is it?
It's in my company's name.
Which is?
Paradise Produce Company Incorporated.
Who else is a partner in Paradise Produce?
Nobody.
Current on your mortgage payments?
Not at this time, no. They are in the process of being sold right now.
Is there a contract for the sale of the property?
Yes, there is a contract for the sale of the property. It's pending on other things, you know, that's going on in the community. So,
You got a lot going on in your life, Mr.
I'm a very active man.
You're got a lot going on.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, so she asked you for this $1,800, and what did you do, sir? I just wanted to get a sense, because I have to figure out who's pulling my leg and who's not.
I wrote her this check out from one of my bank accounts. I have numerous bank accounts because I have personal things, business things, and all that. And I actually wrote it out to her name and put loan on the memo. I handed this check to her on September 26th, and she took it, and I said, you can go right down the road and cash this check at my bank.
Where did you give it to her?
I gave it to her in the shopping center parking lot. I met her in Del Mar, Delaware, on the Delaware side. So that night, she called me back. She says, well, I don't think I can cash this check. I've lost my license, and I don't have a current checking account. I said, well, you can go right to the bank and cash this. I said, I made it out to you, and there's money in the checking account. She said, no, I'd rather you go to the bank and cash a check. And I said, well, let me think about it. And I said, but I would need this other check back. So the next day, I went to Lori. This is my witness, Lori Collins. Can I bring her forward, Judge? Or?
Who are you?
I'm a friend of John's.
What kind of a friend?
Close family friend for over 30 years.
Okay, go ahead.
So I went by Lori's house. I discussed it with Lori. I said, Lori, I'm going to probably loan some money. I have loaned some money. She wants me to take the check back and go to the bank and cash the check and give her the $1,800. And Lori said, well, just make sure that you keep this check here, the first check, if she gives it back to you.
First check is of no value.
Right.
Unless I can test for fingerprints on it.
Right. And then the second check is, I wrote her name in the memo that I cashed this check. Here's
well, that's what you wrote.
And I went to the bank.
You cashed the check and wrote her name in the memo.
Right. So I told Lori, I said, Lori, I have loaned this lady some money. I said, as a friend, I just wanted somebody to know that I had loaned her the money.
Was she there when you gave her the money?
No, ma'am.
Good. Sit down.
And at the time I wrote the check out, I have bank accounts with different amount of figures in it. You know, right now, $25,000 on this. If I needed it, she claims that I needed the money for myself. I don't need it.
Just show me the account where you took out the $1,800.
Yes, right there.
Okay.
Your Honor, he states that the first check that he wrote me, he had $1,800 in that account. That's the check he first gave me. I subpoenaed his bank records. $1,800 was not in there. He had
Can I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am. He had $72.79 in that account.
Can I see that check, please? Sir, you wrote her a check on 9/26 for $1,800. You didn't have $1,800 in that account.
Right.
On which you wrote this $1,800 check.
Right.
Well, why would you write her an $1,800 check and tell her to go?
Because I was going to make a deposit in the account. I moved money from different checking accounts. I have interest-bearing accounts with my business and everything like that. I move money when I need money to pay bills like in the business.
Yeah, but you didn't move any money here, sir. You didn't move any money here. 3 days later...
She gave me the check back because she said that she couldn't cash it.
I understand that.
Because she didn't have a license.
Listen to me.
Yes, ma'am.
That was not the same day, sir. You already testified. It was the next day that she called you and said, I don't have a driver's license, and therefore I can't cash this check. Right. Now, you had already told her to go and cash the check, which she could have done on 9/26.
That's right. That's right.
Okay? On 9/26, if she went to your bank,
yes, ma'am,
and deposited that check, they would not have cashed that check because there was no balance in that account.
They could have moved the money from my business account, which is with the same bank, to cover my overdraft.
There's no overdraft privilege in here.
I'm sorry, I did lend this lady some money.
Go ahead.
He also says he gave me the $1,800. I was leaving that day to go out of town for a wedding. I was running around getting my nails done, my hair done. He didn't give me $1,800.
Okay.
Sorry.
Now, let's start out with the conversation that you had with him about Lisa.
There was no conversation about Lisa. He knows she was in town for maybe a week or two. She moved back to Florida. I don't have a checking account. I don't have any checks. I haven't had a checking account in 3 years.
So you never had a discussion with him about a loan?
No.
Never had a discussion with him about giving you any money?
No.
Why do you think he would make up this convoluted story?
Your Honor, his business account had been frozen because he owes so many people money. Okay, he couldn't even make payroll. John and I continued to talk. We were good friends. He wanted me to help him take the money out of his county bank and put in a safety deposit box, put in my name, and he wanted to put the cash in there so they couldn't touch that money. Then I told him I didn't want to be involved in that because they're going to want to know where this $21,000 is. I didn't want that in my name. I didn't want any part of that. He tried to get several people to do that, and I wouldn't do it.
So what you're saying is he tried to get several people to accept checks?
Yes.
From him?
Yes.
And squirrel away the money?
Yes.
In the event he decided to go through this with this bankruptcy?
Absolutely.
Keep going.
I mean, he says in one statement that I was supposed to pay him back in 2 weeks. John and I continue to be friends. He had a surprise birthday party for his brother. I was invited.
Don't tell me. Just tell me about the money.
There was.
When you told him that you didn't want to participate in this scheme,
yes,
what did he say to you?
That he had a couple other people that were thinking about taking the money and putting it in a safety deposit box, storing his personal property so it wouldn't be auctioned off, which it has been.
What personal property did he want to store with you?
Pool tables, big screen TV, four-wheeler, living room furniture, kitchen furniture, I mean, bedroom suits. He had a 2-story house fully furnished. All that stuff has been auctioned off.
They've been auctioned off by whom?
An auctioneer.
At whose?
I guess at his request. I really don't know. I know that his house was for sale.
Did you have an auction?
Yes, ma'am, I did. To pay my debts and everything, the pool table, big screen TV, all that stuff was auctioned off to pay debts that I incurred during divorce. I am in process of selling 2 pieces of property, a business piece of property, all my assets to pay my debts. I am not filing for bankruptcy. I am
Well,
going to be
it's a little more difficult now to file for bankruptcy,
yes, ma'am.
sir, because what you're suggesting to me is if you own a piece of property that's worth $1.5 million and you have a $790,000 mortgage,
yes, ma'am.
If you file for bankruptcy, you're not going to see any of that money.
Yes, ma'am.
So in order to see any of that money, if you pay off your creditors now, then you'll be able to maybe walk away with a couple $100,000.
No, ma'am, I'm not going to walk away with anything. My assets are about $2.2 million. I owe about $2.1. So, time I pay auctioneers, you know, realtors, all that stuff.
So it doesn't pay for you. So you have assets of $2 million and you have debts of about the same. So you can't go into bankruptcy. That
right.
doesn't mean you're bankrupt. It just means that you have to go to work. Business people, you have mortgages, you have attorneys, you have all kinds of other things. And you're not unfamiliar with court.
Yes, ma'am.
So here you come to a court and you say, I made a loan to this lady. Put your hand down. I made a loan to this lady. I did not memorialize that loan in any way. This check is of no value.
Right.
Because she never endorsed it. I can take out my checkbook and write out a check to Petrie Hawkins Bird in the amount of $10,000 and say, I gave him this check.
Right.
He gave it back to me, and I gave him the 10 grand in cash. And this is some evidence that I gave him that money, right?
Right.
I didn't give you any money to that. No. So this is evidence of nothing.
Right.
The only evidence that it is, sir, is that she subpoenaed this bank account, which says at the time you allegedly wrote this check out to her, you didn't have sufficient money to cover the check in the bank.
Right.
Now, you did have another bank.
Yes, ma'am.
Where you could have written a check that would have cleared.
Right.
As a matter of fact, according to you, you did just that 3 days later. You didn't go to this bank where you could have moved money around. You went to this bank where you took out $1,800. All of this leaves me with a very uneasy feeling, Mr. Allen.
Yes, ma'am.
And if I have a very uneasy feeling, sir, the fact that you brought a witness that says that you told her all about this loan is of no value. So, Mr. Allen, it is possible, just possible, that you loaned her $1,800.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
You understand my problem with your proof, sir?
I understand. I understand.
Are you sympathetic with me, sir?
Yes.
Good. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Thank you.
Christine Lawson is suing her ex-boyfriend, Joseph Lemos, for the cost of a big screen TV they purchased as a couple. Joseph says when they broke up, Christine kept the TV.
Miss Lawson, this gentleman used to be your boyfriend. You lived together for a period of time. Something happened while you were living together with your TV. You claimed that he wanted to buy a big screen TV. You put it on a credit card. You allowed him to use the credit card. He used it not only for the TV, but for some other things. He paid for the other things that he used. Ultimately, he paid off the credit card up to the amount of the TV after you broke up, and then he stopped paying for the TV. You want him to pay for the television. Sounds very reasonable, right?
Yes.
Except that you have the TV.
Correct.
So, I'm confused. Mr. Lema says that he did in fact use the credit card to purchase some other things. Even after you broke up, he continued to make payments on the credit card until he had paid off all of the items he had purchased, but for the television.
Correct.
And the reason he didn't pay for the television is because you have the television. When did you break up?
It's about April or May of 2006.
And when was the television purchased?
August of 2004.
So you've been watching the television?
Correct.
In your house?
Yes.
Why don't you pay for it?
I never wanted it. I don't like it. I would love to give it back to him, but I don't have, I'm using it as collateral, I guess, to get the rest of the money that he owes me.
The only money that's owed is owed for the television.
Not entirely.
Most of it is for the television.
I guess you could say that.
So what you want me to believe, Miss Lawson, is that he said to you, you can keep this $3,000 television and watch it, and I'm going to make the payments on it.
No, that's not how the conversation actually
Well, tell me how conversation actually went.
Okay. When we broke up, there was still about $4,000 on the credit card, which, as you said, there was multiple things on there. He was paying me up until September of 2006.
Correct,
and then he stopped.
Right.
And he wanted to take his TV, which would have been fine to me. However, I couldn't guarantee that I would get the rest of the money that he owed me if I handed over the TV. I had no way of contacting him. I had no cell phone number. The only way I had was email. Most of the emails that I had sent him were ignored.
He paid you for the 6 months.
Well, he was paying on multiple things. That wasn't the only thing on there.
He paid the credit card honorably.
Correct.
Until the only thing left was a television that you were watching.
Well, the television was...
And he wanted it back when you broke up.
Correct.
Well, then you're watching it. You pay for it. I mean, it's not rocket science.
Well, the amount owed on the credit card exceeded what the amount of the television was.
When?
When we broke up, when he stopped paying.
Come on, Miss Lawson. I just made it perfectly clear to you that there's an agreed set of facts, and the agreed set of facts are he paid until September when the only thing that remained on the credit card was the television set, which he had initially asked for when you broke up, which you declined to give him, which you've been watching and you've been using. You pay for it. That's all. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Kenneth Kip Panett claims former friend Stacy Schwartz took his car without permission and damaged it. Kenneth says Stacy not only ruined the transmission and clutch, but she also popped one of his tires.
Mr. Panett, you were at a party with the defendant. I assume she was a friend of yours, and it is your claim that she took your car without permission and wrecked it.
She didn't wreck it. She hit a curb and blew out a tire, and the transmission went out.
And Ms. Schwartz says that she had an unfortunate accident and that she might clearly be responsible for replacing a tire, but certainly not the transmission, since she had your permission and this accident was clearly not her fault.
Well, she did not have my permission.
Good. So let's go back. When was this party that you had?
A couple of months ago. It was a Friday night. It was at my house, and
Listen, Mr. Panett, how old are you, sir?
23.
What do you do for a living?
I am a market analyst.
Ever been to court before, sir?
No, except for traffic tickets and...
Well, that's court. So, if you're a plaintiff and you have a claim, first thing you figure out is what date.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because the questions get harder after that, Mr. Panett. So, a couple of months ago on a Friday night isn't a date.
I believe the date was December 14th, Your Honor.
That's a date. Now, it was on December 14th, 2006. Where were you?
At my house.
Who else was there?
I don't know the exact names, but a bunch of my friends.
And what were you all doing?
Drinking, watching TV, listening to music.
Great. Having a good time. Being responsible.
Yes.
What happened next?
Well, I didn't keep track of everybody around that night. I went to bed maybe around 1 or 2, and the next morning, Stacy called me and said that my car was broken down. I said, you know, how could that be? It should be in front of my house. And she said she was in Sunrise, which is about 20 miles away.
Where do you live?
Downtown Sacramento.
Go ahead.
She said it was broken down. She explained to me that she had taken my car the night before and that it had broken down the night before and that she had spent the night and was calling me in the morning. And I was...
Spent the night where?
At one of her friend's house, I assume.
Okay.
And I explained to her that she had better get my car back to me.
What kind of car do you have?
It's a Nissan Sentra.
Year?
1997. And she said she would. We exchanged words. I was a little upset, and then I fell back asleep. I didn't get my car back until the next day. She had it towed back to my house. At first, she hadn't even told me that a tire had blown out. I did see that for myself when it came to my house. Then she explained that to me. I had not given her permission to drive the car, so I was very upset.
Okay. Don't repeat anything.
Okay.
I have other things to do. Are you finished?
She had told me that she would pay for all damages. She was very apologetic at first, and I had it diagnosed, and she refused to pay it. She says she's not responsible for that.
You had it diagnosed. What was the bill?
It was $1,500, $1,593.83. I'd originally said $1,600. It's I'd rounded when I looked at the receipt. It's actually $6.17 less than that.
Mr. Panett, how did you pay for this?
My father loaned me the money to pay for it, actually.
Did you pay for it in check or cash, sir?
I believe my father used his credit card to pay for it, and I had to pay my father back.
What's your father's name?
John Panett.
His phone number?
It's in my cell phone. I'm sorry.
Fred, would you please get his cell phone so that we can get the father's number, please? Thank you. And he's going to verify that he paid this bill, sir?
Yes,
when I
he
call
would.
him on the phone? Good. We're going to do that.
Okay.
In a minute.
Okay.
Now, I'll hear you, Miss Swartz.
On December 14th, I was hanging out at Kip's house, and I asked him if I could borrow his car to go over to Jessica's house.
Where does Jessica live?
A few blocks from his house.
And he said?
He said yes. He let me borrow it.
Good. So you understand, Miss Swartz,
That's a different place than she was. Excuse me, Your Honor.
You do understand, madam, that you did have limited authority to take his car to go to Jessica's house, which is a few blocks away. You understand that?
Yes. Yeah.
Now tell me what happened.
I drove over to Jessica's house and told her that I was using Kip's car. And she called me at 5 o'clock in the morning and woke me up.
At Jessica's house?
Yes. And told me she was drunk and stranded in Sunrise. So I didn't even think to call Kip and ask permission because he let me borrow his car. He knew I wasn't...
No, my dear.
He knew I wasn't going to bring it back until the morning. So I...
Darling!
Yes.
You get it now? You look as if you're smart enough to get where I'm going.
Yes, ma'am.
You went to pick up your friend in Sunrise. And how far is Sunrise from Jessica's house?
Approximately 20 miles.
20?
Miles.
Miles, not blocks. Miles. And it was coming back with her, this drunken friend of yours, that you had the accident.
Yes.
Now tell me about the accident.
I was just driving and I was coasting, so I was in neutral. And then I tried to put it into gear and it would not go into gear. And I went to park immediately and I hit the curb and popped the tire. That was probably about 5:30, 6 o'clock.
You must have hit the curb very hard.
Well, yes, it was hard enough to pop the tire. And I immediately changed the tire. And since it was about 5:30 in the morning, my friend that I picked up just walked to her house because we were about a block away. And I slept in the car and called Kip about 9 o'clock in the morning to tell him that I was going to get his car towed back to him.
Let us assume that I believe you, that Mr. Panett said that you could borrow his car to go to Jessica's house, which is a few blocks away, to stay over. When you exceeded his permission by going 20 miles away the next day, you no longer had his permission. Do you understand that?
But he knew I was going to have it till the morning.
Don't tell me what he knew. He gave you permission, according to you, to drive it a few blocks. A few blocks is not 20 miles.
I have my witness here that saw him give me permission.
I just said, don't you have your listening ears on? I said, if I believe you, he gave you permission to take it a few blocks away. Once you took it 20 miles away, you no longer had permission.
Your Honor, he lets me borrow the car all the time.
That's not true.
Just a second. Where do you think you are?
Right here.
Where is here?
in this witness chair.
And until you stand up there, what are you supposed to do?
Listen to you.
Right. Once you exceeded the scope of the permission, you no longer had permission. That's the law. Do you understand it?
Yes.
So all I have to do is deal with the issue of damages. And for that, you're going to give me John's cell phone.
Yes, ma'am. Just let me power it up.
Power it up. John Panett, this is Judge Judy Scheindlin. How are you? I'm very well, thank you. Do you have a moment for just a couple of quick questions for me? I'm here, as you know, trying a case involving your son and this young woman who took his car without permission. Are you familiar with that? Okay. Did he ever ask you for any money to help him repair this car? When was that? 3 months ago. Do you remember how much it cost you, sir? Approximately. And did you use your credit card? Did he pay you back that money? I know, I have children. Did he tell you how it happened? Did he need a new transmission? Was he driving the car? Okay, very good. And you used a credit card? Okay, great. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate you taking the time. Bye-bye now. What a nice father you have, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And as a matter of fact, your father does remember helping you out and paying for this transmission a few months ago.
That's correct.
Do you know what he doesn't remember?
What?
He doesn't remember you paying him back.
Well, I owe him money pretty much all the time, and I am always paying him. So I'm in the process
that he
of
doesn't
paying
remember. I mean, he does remember laying this money out for you, but he doesn't remember the fact that you paid him.
I have not fully paid him back, Your Honor. I apologize.
Well, how much have you paid him, sir?
Well, I owe him a total of quite a bit more than that. So I guess if you got down to that bill, I haven't paid him any because I'm paying him for things that I owe him.
Well, you have no objection to making the check payable to your father, do you?
No, not at all.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,593.83 to be made payable to John Panett. Thank you very much. That's all. House, you want him to pay for the changed locks. And on the same date, he was angry and vandalized your car, and you want him to pay for that. Mr. Fabrini does not deny that he was in the house. He said he was supposed to be babysitting for the children that day, and he does, however, deny that he did anything to your car. So I have some questions. How long have you been separated?
Since 2003, Your Honor. I've changed my...
Just a second.
Sorry.
Are you legally separated?
Yes, we are. I have separation papers here.
Okay, so you have a legal writing, but there's never been a judicial determination of separation. Is that right?
Yes.
Is that right, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. How long were you married?
Well, we've been together 16 years.
And how many children do you have, Mr. Fortier?
3.
How old are they? 13,
12, and 7.
Been separated a long time. Is there any reason why you're not divorced?
I don't want a divorce. I mean, we pretty well set our life, and instead of, trying to make it harder, I'm trying to make it, get back together for the sake of the kids, not just for selfish reasons.
Did you stay in the marital home, Ms. Fabrini?
No. I signed over the 2 houses we owned at the time of marriage. I let him have them. I never asked him for child support. I'm the one who ended the marriage. I bought my own house in 2003.
Okay, so the house that you say he was trespassing in...
was my house.
Was your house,
Yes,
not the
ma'am.
marital home?
No.
And when was this, Ms. Fabrini?
On June 1st.
Okay, tell me what happened.
I came home from work, and Mr. Fortier was sitting at my kitchen table, and I asked him how he got in the house. He obviously stole keys from me. I've never given him a set of keys to my house. Of course, he denies it. I don't know if you're still denying it, but...
Well, just a second. So on June 1st, you found him sitting at the... And what did he say to you when you confronted him?
He denied the fact that he had my keys, and I asked him what he was doing in my house, and he was waiting for the children to come home. And I told him, you're not allowed in my house unless I invite you in. So he refused to give. We had an argument. I kicked him out. So he was kind of like angry with me.
And what happened?
He left, and I just forgot about it. I did my own thing with the kids. And that night I went to bed, and the kids told me...
Don't tell me what the kids told you, because that's hearsay.
Well, the next morning when I woke up, the windshield in my car was smashed. So I figured he didn't.
You have any proof that he did it?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
I'd like to hear the proof.
I have a witness.
Witness's name?
Sabrina Weeks.
Sabrina Weeks? Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth in these matters?
Yes.
Can't hear you.
Yes.
Sabrina, how old are you?
12.
And how do you know Miss Fabrini?
Her daughter.
My daughter. She's her best friend.
Okay, is that how you know each other?
Yeah.
She sleeps over at my house all the time.
Okay, were you sleeping at Miss Fabrini's home on June the 1st?
Yes.
Did you witness anything with regard to her car?
Yes.
Tell me what you saw.
Okay, I was sleeping over, and we were sleeping, and me and her heard a loud crash, and we went to look at the window, and we saw Dave with a crowbar over by the car.
And you're sure it was Mr. Fortier?
Yes.
Mr. Fortier, how did you get into the house on June the 1st?
Well, I had keys.
You had keys. Where did you get the keys from, sir?
Well, I had them from, she gave it to me to come and babysit.
Sorry, Your
No,
Honor.
shh, stop. Miss Fabrini, don't say anything. Now, Mr. Fortier, do you pay child support for your children?
Well, no, but
She ever asks you for child support?
no. Well, she should have asked if she wanted, so just ask.
Mr. Fortier, put your hand down, please. Do you have a lawyer in this matrimonial proceeding?
Right now, no.
Mr. Fortier, do you know my background? What kind of work I used to do before I did this work?
No.
I was a judge in the family court, and I was in the family court for 25 years. And you don't have a lawyer, so I feel comfortable about giving you this advice. It's both personal advice and professional advice, sir. And I don't know whether anybody's ever said it to you. You look like a very nice man, but you look like a sad man because you don't have your family with you. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, okay.
My sense from you, sir, is you don't have your family with you, and there is good reason that you and your wife are not together. She wanted out of this marriage so badly that she gave up certain rights that every one of the states of our union mandate, which is that a non-custodial parent pays child support. There isn't a judge in this country that would permit, without serious inspection, an order that said that a non-custodial parent wasn't paying child support. You haven't paid child support for 3 years. So my sense is that your wife wanted out of this marriage that badly that she said, you take the houses, you take the property, you take everything, just give me my freedom.
Yeah, that's her saying. She makes it sound like it's been hell, but...
Just a second. I understand what you're saying, but what you're saying is that you don't want a divorce because you want your family back together. Mr. Fortier, you're 40 years old. It's young. Believe me, from where I'm sitting, 40 is young. I would take it tomorrow, Mr. Fortier. I'm giving you advice that some people would pay a lot of money for. You've got to put a period and move on. Not with your children. Your children will always be your children, and they will only have one father. There's no question about that. They're old enough to know that you're their father. Nobody's going to substitute for a father. You're their father. But this lady doesn't want to live with you anymore. So you have to put a period and say, this portion of my life, no matter how painful it is for me, is over. I have to move on. And the first thing you have to do is you have to consent to a divorce, Mr. Fortier.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Next time, don't do it. I mean,
listen to me. I know that you're angry.
Just tell him to leave me alone.
Listen to me.
What's he gonna break?
Stop it.
And later today,
What kind of concert was it?
It was a reggae festival.
Where do you stay?
I ended up having to sleep on the...
Judge Judy. Mary Fabrini claims her estranged husband, David Fortier, stole the keys to her home and smashed the windshield of her car.
Now, put a period and say, it's over. And the longer you prolong that, the more damage you're going to do to your children. You and your wife brought these children into the world because you wanted to create a loving home for them and want to see them grow up to be wonderful people. You didn't bring them into this world to hurt them. But with the kind of stress you're putting on their mother, that's hurting your children. So you have to stop being selfish, Mr. Portier, because what you're really doing is being selfish. Not to her, forget her, but she's the custodial parent for your children. She takes care of them. And what you're doing is creating a stressful environment for them. And you have to stop. Really, you have to stop. Because not only is it bad for them, it's also not right for you. You're 40 years old. You have to give yourself a chance to go out and have another life. You're young. You're young. You're never going to be without your kids. But you want to give them the best possible shot of growing up stress-free. And right now you're creating stress for your children. Because there isn't a question in my mind. I don't have to ask you. Isn't a question in your mind that you damaged her car? This little girl wouldn't come here and lie. No question. You were so angry that your wife said to you, "This is my house. I bought this house. You can't be here." That you didn't have control, that you tried to regain control and you damaged her car. You're hurting yourself, but you're also hurting your children because your 12-year-old daughter, Shauna, saw you do that to her mother's car. She saw you be so angry. That's not healthy, Mr. Fortier. You have to stop. And if you need help stopping, spend some of the money that you're not giving to your wife and child support to go get some help. I gave you my best advice. It's advice that has 40 years backing it up. Put a period. Move on. Let it go. Okay. Change the locks were $124. To fix the windshield was $534.
And 3 days off work.
Why did you take 3 days off from work?
I couldn't drive to work. Me 3 days because I had to pay for it, repair it, and then get to work. It's my work vehicle.
Do you get paid by the week?
Yes, I do.
So you got paid for the week?
Oh, I didn't get paid that week. I have 3 days that weren't missing.
But did you get paid for the week?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry.
How much do you make a day?
$80 a day. And I have a paycheck stub here, too.
I'd like to see it.
And that's without my bonuses, so I'm letting him off a little easy. Next time, don't do it. I mean,
listen to me, Miss Fabrini. Miss Fabrini.
Yes?
I want you to listen to me. I know that you're angry.
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't know whether whatever I said to him had any impact.
I hope so.
Shh. A little bit, maybe?
I hope not.
Shh. I'm asking him. Stop it. I get that you're angry. And I get that there was reason why you gave up all those things. I don't want to go into it.
Yes, Your Honor.
You got to move on. Because you're hurting your children and you're hurting yourself. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $898. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may.
She suffered injuries after Frank hit her during a traffic dispute. He says she kicked him first.
Order. All rise. Quiet, please. Now, this is case number 233 on the calendar in the matter of Oshrin versus Stimson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, ma'am, sir.
All right, this case involves a traffic dispute. Miss Oshrin, you look like an otherwise intelligent lady. Got yourself involved with this dispute.
Mm-hmm.
You want to tell me about it, please?
It was Saturday night, and I was going to get dinner for my husband. I was waiting at a left-hand turn on Sherman Way, which is a busy street.
What kind of a car were you driving?
I was driving a rental car. It was a little Mercury Mystique, I believe. And I was sitting there waiting for traffic to go. There was 2 more cars that needed to go by. It was a little distance between, but not enough. And while I was sitting there, another car came up and started blaring on the horn at me. Didn't let off, so I waited, made my turn. The car tailgated me and followed me into the parking lot where I was going, which was another left in there. And so I turned down the first row of cars, you know, trying to go where I needed to go and get out of the way. And started to go towards the right, and car, you know, kind of punched it a little bit to the right, so I just stopped, figuring, go around me. I'm not moving. And I had
And it was the same car that had been
yeah,
blowing
it was the same one
the
tailgating
horn.
me.
What kind of car was that?
Well, I couldn't tell until it was later, and it was a '81 Toyota truck. Little pickup. It was small.
Driver.
Mm-hmm.
Go.
And So anyway, then when I stopped, I had a dog in the car that I was trying to adopt. And so I checked on the dog just because she's nervous anyway. And when I looked up, there was, the defendant was walking down towards me, towards my car. So I locked the door, and he came up, kneeled down, and told me I got my license from a Cracker Jack box. And so he kneeled there for a second, paused, he got up, and leaned forward and spit through the crack I had in my window, in my face. So, and then he turned around and walked back, and I got out to get his license plate. His car was parked like maybe an inch off of mine, and what I could see, there was no plate. So I started to walk back, and when I started to walk, he turned around again, and so I yelled at him for spitting in my face, and he turned around and we ended up in a kicking fight. He started kicking me, so I kicked him back, and finally I just, I didn't kick it, but I pushed the door with my foot, because it was at an angle and he was on one side, and it pushed him back into the truck. So I went back to my car, and as I was walking back to the car, he came up and grabbed me by the shoulder and kind of pushed me and started to beat up the car, tried kicking my car. Then he turned around and came at me again. So, and, he ended up spitting in my face. So I was holding him back because he was walking at me. And by the time we kind of did like a circle and came back by the car, and the car was on the side of me. So I was, while I'm holding him back, there was a girl that came walking down from the other side, quickly at us. So I glanced at her, and when I glanced at her, he hit me in the jaw. So.
And then what happened?
Well, my head went that way, and then I turned around and I ducked. And when I did that, I ended up ripping his shirt because I was still holding. And somebody grabbed my arm, for the other direction. So I went that way, and when I looked up, he had 4 or 5 people holding him back. So I went back again to try to get the license plate, and I guess they let him go because I was probably about halfway down there, and he came back and he started pushing me, and I walked like a big circle to the back, and finally got the plate, and he turned around and left once he realized, I guess, what I got.
All right. What kind of medical costs did you have?
I've got chiropractic and for my my jaw. It was actually, it's a specialist. He went through 2 referrals to get to it. He wants, together they're like 44, 60 something, 64 right now. Here's another one. This goes with it. That's all, everything. The bill's right behind it.
I have a lot of questions to ask you.
Okay.
The first one that comes to my mind, as a woman, if some nut comes up to your car and you know that he's been tailgating you, and I don't think that there's any question that he was tailing you, because I read your complaint and I read his answer. So common sense suggests to me he was annoyed, honking his horn. You live in California? It's surprising. People in California don't blow their horns a lot. People in New York blow their horns if you're delayed a split second. Here, everybody sort of hangs out and gives you a chance. I found the drivers here very polite. So, where are you from?
California.
Well, you didn't learn the rules, sir. The rules are you're not supposed to honk your horn.
I beeped my horn briefly. I did not lay on the horn.
I didn't say lay on the horn. I said honk your horn. You honked your horn.
Yes, I did. If someone sits at a green light with no oncoming cars for a good 10 to 15 seconds, they either have car problems or they're just ignorant.
Well, maybe she had car problems.
She obviously didn't.
I'll get to you in a minute. This is going to be interesting. I'm not finished with you yet because I'm trying to figure out whether you have all your screws.
Okay.
He comes up to your car, says something that is, it's aggressive. It's aggressive because he stopped his car, he's gotten out of his car, he's approached your car, and you don't know whether he's a nut, right? Somebody dangerous, or just a flake, right? You have your window open a little bit. According to you, he spits in your face. And you get out of the car?
Yeah, I did.
Who are you?
I'm Dan Moran. I witnessed what happened that night.
Wonderful. Perfect.
You would agree with me, Mr. Moran, that that's pretty stupid.
That was my first question.
Perfect. For that, you don't have an answer.
No. Well, I want his plate.
Your life is more important than his license plate.
True.
And then, after he's put his hands on you, after he struck you in the jaw, after all of that, you still wanted his plate.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I want to tell you something. Somebody spits at me, and you would have had a lot more than a couple of scratches on your body. A lot!
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 27-year-old Carolyn Oshrin is suing 31-year-old Frank Stimson for assault during a traffic dispute. Frank admits he insulted Carolyn, but denies her allegations of assault.
Now your version.
I drove up to the light. She was at the light in front of me, a green light. No traffic was oncoming at that time. I waited for about 10 to 15 seconds. I beeped my horn briefly. She pulled forward approximately 5 to 10 feet and slammed on her brakes. I waited, kind of scratched my head and said, wow, what's that about? She pulled forward through the intersection after that, and when she got into the crosswalk on the other side, she slammed on her brakes again. I sat in the middle of the street with the car coming towards the passenger side of my car, and then the same thing happened again in the next driveway. She consistently tried to get me to rear-end her.
No, she wasn't. She was probably trying to irritate you. This lady, what do you think? She's a scam artist? She's trying to get you to rear-end her? No, she was trying to irritate you like you irritated her. She's driving a rental
car. She doesn't care about the car. She wants money. That's why we're here.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Let me hear.
When we got in the parking lot, she moved along at a snail's pace.
Just a second. How many lanes are there in the parking lot?
There's one going forward and one going the opposite way.
So there's only one way that you could have gone? Is that what you're telling me? Because there's a witness here.
Yes. There's
only one lane that you can go to.
No, I was following her because I wanted to ask her why she was trying to get me to hit her.
That's right. So you were following her?
At that point, yes.
Okay. Why were you following her?
Why was I following her? Because we were both happened to be going the same way at the time. I was going in to develop some film. I don't know why she pulled in the parking lot.
Just a second. You don't... Stupid isn't written here. You just told me that you were following her. That's what you told me. You could have avoided the confrontation by just going in a different direction. So, you stopped your truck, and you got out of your truck and you walked over to her side, to the driver's window. And what happened at the driver's window?
I had asked her if she got her driver's license out of a Cracker Jack box.
And she said?
She didn't say anything. She just stared at me and laughed.
And what did you do?
I laughed back. I told her that she was kind of a ridiculous driver, acting like a child, and she should go get a real driver's license.
Did you spit at her?
No, I did not.
Oh, I think you're lying.
I did not. I may have used lots of profanity, but I did not spit
at her.
What do you
may have used lots of profanity?
I was kind of upset. Anytime someone tries to get rear-ended, something's wrong with them. I told her what I thought.
She wasn't trying to get rear-ended, sir.
She was. If you do this 5 to 6 times, slam on your brakes, that's not normal.
You know what's not normal? Not normal is looking for trouble. Now,
that's what she was doing.
No. Listen to me. Yes. You started it. She continued it. Right?
Okay.
Is that right? You were annoyed that he honked his horn. Correct?
Yeah, I was annoyed.
So that when you got to the intersection, when you made your turn, and he was following you, you figured, I'm going to give him a little bit of agita. And you slowed down. Is that right?
I went slow because it wasn't far to turn.
Yeah. And you went slow because you knew that he was behind you. That's what happened. Right?
Yeah, but there's another lane there, too, so...
I understand that. He could have gone around you.
Yeah.
He didn't want to. So you were being dumb.
Okay.
And he was being dumb. So, I don't think you would have gotten out of your car if he had not spit at you.
Nope.
Because there would have been no basis for her, sir, to try at that point to get your plate. None whatsoever. So I believe that you spit at her while using profanity. Now,
I used lots of profanity. I
step
did not
up here,
spit.
sir.
Yes,
Do you
ma'am.
know this lady?
No, I don't.
Do you know this gentleman?
No, I don't.
I'm going to settle this right now. Tell me what you saw.
When I was finished doing my shopping there in the center, I have a convertible car, so I saw everything. It was very unusual. They were making a left turn into the parking lot from Sherman Way into the driveway. It's a very short distance. I see these two cars come in, and the guy was no further than this far behind her, bumper, right on her butt, right on the bumper. He gets out, and at first I'm thinking, well, is this like from a movie? It's like, it was so surreal that, well, it must be a couple, they must be fighting, a domestic dispute, something like that. But what happened, this guy gets out of his car and starts screaming at her. She's got a little crack like that in the window. And I'm like, what is this? And he spits at her, puts a big old loogie on her. And I at first I said, well, when I saw her get out of the car, I thought, well, it must be a domestic thing. Hey, I got on the cell phone, I called the police right away. And then all of a sudden, there's 5 other guys on top of this dude trying to restrain him from beating her up. I don't blame her for jumping out of her car. This guy was totally out of control, very out of line. So
see what happens? Sometimes you have an independent witness, sir.
He is not an independent witness. Nobody put their hands on me.
Just a
but
second.
Her.
Just a second.
I should be able to state the rest of my case.
I'm going to let you. I just want you to listen to him before you state the rest of your case.
How close
he doesn't
was he?
know. He doesn't know.
How can he see any of this?
He just told you. He was in his convertible car. He saw exactly how you came in. Is that right, sir?
The cars were no further than the edge of that table there.
How far away were you?
I was right to the right side of it. So I saw all
And you were the one who called the police?
From my cell phone, yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You got to go on the women's wrestling team, man. You have a nice day.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 27-year-old Carolyn Oshrin and Frank Stimson are in court after a traffic dispute turned violent. Both motorists claim they were assaulted during their argument in a parking lot.
Mr. Stimson, tell me the rest of your case, sir.
Okay, so when I started walking away after I gave her a piece of my mind, not my lungs, I started walking away. She exited her car, ran towards me. I backed up. She ran over and kicked the side of my truck. I said, if that's what you want to do, I went over and kicked her car. She said, it's not my car anyway, ha, 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 and started yelling and screaming at me. She came at me. She tried to kick me approximately 20 to 30 times, at least, swinging at me. At one point, she got a hold of my shirt and she socked me in the face. At that point, and only at that point, did I raise a hand and I pushed her away to try to get away from her. And I have a witness sitting right here who watched the whole thing also.
Step up. Name?
Marcia Gerard. We were turning left, and it was a long time before she did turn. And she did make a couple of breaks before she entered the driveway, and then stopped at the crosswalk. Then we followed her in, or Frank followed her in, turned left, and followed right behind her. He did get out of the car, went to her, and I...
Just a second. Now you're in the car. What is he saying to you as he's pulling up behind her?
He's just saying, what is wrong? You know, is there something wrong with this lady or
no,
the person?
Exactly what is he saying? I don't think this man said, I wonder what's wrong with this lady.
No, he did. He said, what is wrong? Does she not go, or is she sick or something? Is there something wrong?
He thought she might be sick. Is that what you're telling me?
Or else she's injured or something. She would not go. He honked the horn a couple of times.
So he thought she might be injured. So he ran up to the car and, according to him, said, did you get your license from a Cracker Jack box?
Yes.
He didn't go up to the car and say, are you all right?
No.
So he wasn't so concerned that she was sick. Because that's what you would do if somebody is sick. Well, are you an intelligent woman?
Yes, I am.
Did you say to him, Frank, don't get out of the car. This isn't worth... What are you getting out of the car for? Did you say that to him?
No.
Why not?
I just figured he'd handle it himself.
Sir.
One important fact that hasn't been brought up yet, this clown, after he assaulted this woman, this clown left the scene.
I was the one that was assaulted,
He left
sir.
the scene. He drove away as the police were arriving and went home, I guess, and made the call because the police got the call because he knew he had screwed up and filed a claim against her, which is totally wrong.
It's so easy when you have an eyewitness who's not related to anybody. What kind of work do you do, sir?
I work in retailing as a business consultant.
Well,
First of all, sir, I thank you for coming to court today. Too often citizens who see something happen don't participate in the process.
I felt it was my civic duty, ma'am.
You waited for the police?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Stayed through the whole thing. She was traumatized.
Okay. Well, I want to tell you something. She may be traumatized, but she's not smart.
Well,
she was just lucky
yes.
that he didn't have more than his spit
yeah.
to hurl at her.
Yeah.
Because he might have, and then she would have been in real trouble.
Very true.
So I hope, madam, that you learned a lesson. A car is a dangerous thing. You don't use it to get even. You don't use it to, you just don't do that. It's not smart. But if you're involved in a dispute with somebody, whether you're a man or a woman, you stay in your car. And if you have a phone in your car, terrific. Otherwise, you drive around and look for a police officer or for somebody else and say, could you please call 911? You don't get out of your car, because otherwise you wind up with that sort of injury.
True.
I would like to say I've got pictures. Now, I was the one attacked here, and if your statement is so correct, why don't you state what you really saw as far as the altercation went, to where a man is backing away from a woman and a woman is coming at him aggressively, swinging, kicking, and flailing.
Well,
Thank you.
Judge, just answer me.
Obviously, this man was filled with road rage. It's very obvious. The way that he pulled in right on, it was so weird.
Does
you see someone pulling
have anything to do with physical abuse?
Just a second. Did you see her assault him?
No, not at all.
Did you see anybody kick a car?
You're at fault here, fella.
Did you see anybody kick a car? Stop fighting with each other. Listen to me. I heard enough.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
You're suing him for $5,000. You're counterclaiming for $2,000.
Yes.
You, sir.
Would you like to see the physical abuse? I've got pictures.
Oh, sure. I'll take a look at your pictures.
Many scratches.
I'll take a look
and
at your
abrasions.
Pictures. I'll take a look at your pictures, sir. I want to tell you something. Somebody spits at me, and there isn't a question in my mind that you spit at her. Somebody did it to me. You would have had a lot more than a couple of scratches on your body. A lot.
Yeah. That's fine.
Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000, and the countersuit is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I thought it was a domestic case that, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, something like that, get into a fight. And once I saw it was on, this guy was, no, of course not. I've never struck a woman in my life, pig.
Neither have I, you slob.
All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 428 on the calendar in the matter of Birmingham versus Cameroni. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
All right, the chronological posture of this case is as follows. You, sir, are employed in a jail.
Yes.
As a guard.
As a deputy, yes, ma'am.
And there came a time when you, Miss Cameroni, were an inmate in that jail, having been convicted of some speeding violation. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
You claim that while you were in the jail, you were subjected to maltreatment by the plaintiff.
Yes, that's correct.
You complained to your husband. Is that you?
Yes.
Who sent faxes to the warden.
That's correct.
And as a result of those faxes, you were further mistreated by the plaintiff. Then you served your time, you got out of jail, and you started to write on the internet about the plaintiff and about the things that you suffered from while you were in jail at his hands. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And you're suing her for slandering you.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever sue him?
No, I did not.
You chose to take out whatever anger that you had by using the computer.
Well, I chose to tell my story through a website instead of suing civilly.
Okay. How long have you been employed as a deputy in the jail, sir?
3 years, ma'am.
And what were you doing in the jail? You were there for the speeding ticket. For how long were you actually incarcerated?
I was incarcerated for 3.5 months.
Why? That was a pretty long time for a speeding ticket.
Well, back in 1993, I had drove my Corvette at 145 miles an hour up the freeway.
Why would you do that?
You know, I realized it was wrong and I shouldn't have done it. You know, and it was a long time ago, and I know it was dangerous. But the treatment that he put me through...
No, I'm not getting to the treatment. So that's what you were there for.
Yes.
Now, tell me about the first time you had a contact with him.
That was June 6th of 1997. He was on night duty at the time, and he was assigned to the tower and the walkthroughs. And he would open and shut the door all night, a loud metal door, so I could not sleep. And then when the sergeant came through at 8 a.m. and asked me while I was still sleeping, I told him I couldn't sleep because of the loud door opening and shutting. And the sergeant says, I'll take care of it, it won't happen again. And that took care of that situation. I started having problems again when I filed a habeas with the court, which was not welcome with many of the jail staff.
What kind of habeas?
I was being denied medication that my doctor had prescribed.
What kind of prescriptions were you supposed to be taking? Don't show me letters. Look at me. Stop playing with papers.
Okay. I was supposed to be taking pain medication and Luvox and...
what was that for?
It was for my depression. I went through a court-ordered psychiatric review and...
So you were supposed to be taking medicine, psychiatric,
yeah,
for psychiatric problems.
Yes, and then for my insomnia, I was supposed to take something for that.
So you filed a habeas corpus proceeding because you said that they refused to give you that medication.
Right.
And were you ultimately given the medication?
After the habeas corpus proceedings, yes.
Well, what did that have to do with him?
Well, when I had come back from court to the jail, he was the one who removed the handcuffs and the shackles, and he was very rough in twisting my arms. And he was telling me, I hope it was worth it, when he was removing the handcuffs.
So when was the next time you had a problem with him?
Well, after that, I had constant problems with him.
Tell me about them.
And with another inmate. Well, there was a particular inmate in there who...
And now, are these things that you memorialized on your website on the internet?
I didn't go into detail on my website.
Do you have what you complain about, sir, in writing?
Yes,
that she wrote on the internet?
Yes, ma'am. I have parts of it, yes.
Can I see it, please?
The second paragraph on the first page is the beginning of it.
This is an accounting of life in jail and the very unprofessional conduct of two deputies in particular, another deputy and yourself, okay, towards her.
Yes, ma'am.
So far this doesn't say anything. I want to see particularly what she says about you so I can address each of those things. Would you have him put a star next to the things that he's actually complaining about so that I could...
Ma'am, that's kind of hard to say.
No, I want to see, sir.
Well,
you are alleging that she either libeled and or slandered you.
Well, that's what I need to explain, ma'am. It's not just what she said. It's the context of my name is now associated with this website on the very first page of it, and it contains words rape, prejudice,
Show
racism.
me where that's alleged that you were any part of that, sir.
By reading it, ma'am, a normal person reading that will get my name twisted into that and see this.
Just a second. She doesn't allege anywhere in here that you raped her, correct?
No, ma'am.
She doesn't allege anywhere in here that you beat her, correct?
No, ma'am.
It says, gives a whole litany of her experiences in the jail, which may have included those things. But with regard to you, all it says is, the fact is that Deputy Birmingham acted in an unprofessional manner on numerous occasions while she was in custody. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what you're complaining about.
Why is my name on the internet? This isn't anything to do with free speech. This isn't anything to do with her trying to raise funds to go to Supreme Court or anything like that. This is just her ill will to try to get revenge and my name doesn't belong on the first page of her website.
Well, you were employed at the jail when she was there, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember her when she was an inmate?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Tell me what you remember about her.
I remember basically she'd complain about everything. She accused everybody of doing something wrong. She was just not your model inmate.
Mm-hmm. And how did you react to that, sir?
I didn't care. I was just doing my job, doing my 8 hours and going home.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
And he'd say things to me like, I could make it worse for you here. She could snap your little ass right in half.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sheriff's Deputy Eric Birmingham says former inmate Judy Cameroni slandered him. Judy says he mistreated her in jail.
Mr. Birmingham, you've been employed according to you for 3 years?
Yes, ma'am.
How many disciplinary proceedings have ever been filed against you?
None, ma'am.
Are you still employed there?
Yes, ma'am.
You want to tell me, madam, what are the things you are specifically complaining about that he did to you? Tell me.
Okay, there was another inmate there who was she was the lover of the jail cook's daughter. And she was in there for, oh, no.
The lover of the inmates.
The lover of the jail cook's daughter.
Go. Do this one more time.
She was the lover of the jail cook's daughter.
Okay.
Okay. And she was a very tough woman. She had been incarcerated for beating up 2 of their sheriffs. So she was very tough and very large. And she gave me a very difficult time there. Many times she would back me into the wall and threaten to beat me up, and guards would come running to stop her. Every time she would do something bad to me, and it came down to discipline, she was not disciplined. And Deputy Birmingham chose not to discipline her, and many of the times when we had conflicts where she instigated it, he would choose not to discipline her. And it just made matters worse, and I felt it was very unprofessional for him to do this.
What's next?
It's just caused her to be more bold.
What's next?
Well, my husband sent a fax to the sheriff, which he had intercepted, Mr. Birmingham intercepted. He came up to my cell, dumped out my coffee, which I had to purchase through commissary, and he said he was sick and tired of me. He had the fax in his hand, and he says, you better call your husband and tell him not to send any more faxes.
Does that sound familiar to you?
No, ma'am.
That doesn't sound familiar to you?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Birmingham, are you trying to tell me that a fax of complaint was never received by you, indicating that you failed to take steps to protect this then inmate?
No, ma'am.
You never saw that?
No, ma'am.
He came into your cell with the fax?
Yes, he did, and he dumped out my coffee. And I felt that his unprofessional conduct was putting my safety in jeopardy. You know, and he'd say things to me like, I could make it worse for you here. She could snap your little ass right in half, and things like this.
When did he say that to you?
When he had the fax and dumped the coffee out.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Are you still taking medication?
Yes, I am.
Still the antidepressant medication?
Yes.
Were you on that medication before you were incarcerated?
Yes, I was.
Is this the first time you were incarcerated?
Yes, it was my first and only offense, and I haven't committed any crime since.
This was your first and only arrest?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Did you know that?
Frankly, ma'am, I didn't care.
Sure you did. Well, let me tell you why.
I had no business.
Let me tell
to
you
know.
why, Officer Birmingham. Here you're dealing with a woman, married woman, have children.
Baby.
And did something really dumb 4 years before. By the time it got through the process, only arrest, here she's given over 3 months to serve in jail. Pretty frightening prospect, wouldn't you say?
Can I add some clarification there?
Sure.
Okay. First of all, she spent approximately, and I'm not sure the number, 20 days back in '91 or whenever she was first arrested. She was committed after a trial and then got out on an appeal bond. So she had spent 20 to 30 days there already.
So you knew a little bit about her history, Officer.
Now I do. Now I do, yes, ma'am.
Oh, sir. Are you telling me at the time that you folks were having, according to you, lots of difficulty with her husband faxing and everything else, that you didn't open up the file and take a look at it? Are you
I knew what she was there for, yes, ma'am.
He was an inmate who was given lots of problems, who was not prepared to accept the regular drill of being in jail, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And that presented a certain amount of irritation for all the people in jail. Now, how many guards are there in jail?
It depends on the shift in the day.
Give me some idea of how many people she would have come in contact with between all the shifts.
4 to 5 a shift. It's a small jail.
4 to 5 a shift and 3 shifts a day.
Yes, ma'am.
So 20 people.
Give or say.
She doesn't complain about all 20, right?
Yes, ma'am.
She only complains about really 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know, ma'am. If she had such a problem with me, then why didn't she file a complaint with my department?
You're supposed, she did. She complained through him. She complained, sent a fax. I believe her when she says that you walked into her jail cell with the fax, irritated as hell. I believe her. She doesn't accuse you of any criminal behavior. She says that you were guilty of unprofessional behavior. That's a subjective term.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I could pick up the phone, it's only 2 o'clock, and save my little baby. 600-mile round trip. And then she wouldn't see me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Prison guard Eric Birmingham says former inmate Judy Cameroni has damaged his reputation on the internet. She says he mistreated her.
Certainly what she's saying is you failed to protect her from another inmate who was dangerous. And that what you were really telling her was, listen, babe, you better just do your time quietly, stop complaining, stop making a pest out of yourself. Because if you do, there are things that we could do to make your life unpleasant. Is that what you're complaining about?
Yes, and he also, what he did was, the worst thing that he did was, he did a walkthrough, and he told me when I was watching the news sitting on a bunk, stand up, don't sit on the bunk. I sat on the ground. He says, don't sit on the ground, remain standing. So I remained standing. And then he continued the walkthrough upstairs and left. And I had laughed at a sexual remark that another inmate had made towards him, which is not allowed, but he did not discipline her for it because he welcomes these kind of remarks. And I had laughed, I've got dizzy, I sat down, and I got back up, and I knew I shouldn't have sat down on the bunk. So when he came back around the front door, and I was standing right by the phone, and he says, I'm putting you in lockdown, and tomorrow you cannot see your baby. So I told him, look, I'm standing right by the phone. I could pick up the phone, it's only 2 o'clock, and save my little baby. 600-mile round trip, and then she wouldn't see me. He says, I don't care. And I says, well, then you could have someone else call my husband not to make the trip. He would not do that. But you see, here's the disciplinary action he wrote up, and then he also took away my visiting privileges for 2 weeks, and that's all I had left.
Why
And
did you
he
take away
wrote it up.
Why did you take away a visiting
I
privilege?
did not take the visiting away.
What did you do?
It's a disciplinary review board.
What did you write her up for?
If I remember the incident, we had an extra bunk out in the day room area, and the rules state don't use anything it's not intended for, okay? And she was sitting on the bunk watching TV, and like I told other people or whatever, and told her to sit down over on the tables. But I have no say on whether she loses visits or not. That's
not my question. What this incident that you were talking about, that you wrote her up for.
I believe so, yes, ma'am.
You wrote her up for was because she was sitting on a spare bunk rather than sitting on the table. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Jail is designed to have rules and to have structure, and that's all it is.
Did you know, Officer Birmingham, that she was supposed to have her visiting with her baby on the next day?
No, ma'am.
Does that sound familiar to you?
No, ma'am.
Doesn't sound familiar.
He
only
knew.
time they can make appointments for visits is on the day of the visit. So I would have no say or no knowledge of her
Officer
having a
Birmingham,
visit.
are you telling me, sir, that she did not say to you, if you're going to take away my visits, let me call my husband and tell him not to make this 600-mile trip? That doesn't sound familiar to you?
No, ma'am, I don't know.
You don't know if it sounds familiar. Is that what you're saying?
I don't remember hearing that, no.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Look, I'm going to resolve this matter very quickly.
Okay.
Officer Birmingham, you are in fact suing her. You are suing her for slander, for saying terrible things about you on the internet, on the website. I don't find that she said anything that was terrible about you. She said that you engaged in unprofessional conduct towards her while she was an inmate in the jail. If I have to make a determination today whether or not any of that is true, I would have to say, yes, I believe that you behaved in an unprofessional manner towards the defendant who was an inmate in your jail. And therefore, your lawsuit would be dismissed because truth is an absolute defense. I believe her, sir, when she says that you took her handcuffs off in a rough fashion, that you came into her room with a fax in your hand, spilled her coffee and said, listen, don't do this again, because I can make, in effect, can make your life unpleasant here. And I do believe that you wrote her up for sitting on a bed rather than sitting on a table, which caused her to lose her visitation privileges with her child, and when asked whether you would please just call her husband not to make the trip, because the trip would be for naught, she was blown off. That, to me, sir, is unprofessional behavior. So your lawsuit's dismissed. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thanks, man.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Well, it's something I should have never done, and it was very dangerous, and I won't ever do it again. But I can't change the past, and I'm sorry for what I did. But in no way did that event back in 1993 justify the unprofessional behavior and the little extra punishment he decided to put upon me because of that.
Order, all rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please, all rise. Yeah, this is case number 305 on the calendar in the matter of Mohammed versus Nava. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Oh, Bert, it always worries me when I see evidence in a plastic bag.
Me too, Judge.
Mr. Mohammed, you are suing the defendant. Would you stand up straight, please, as a court? For $750 because you say she stole your car and vandalized it. Is that right?
That's right.
You and the defendant went to a club together, correct? Dance club. You were with a male friend, and she had two other female friends with her. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. It was a Mexican nightclub, so that's when
I don't see how that's particularly relevant, madam. Whether it was a Mexican nightclub or what kind of a nightclub
what would he
it was.
be doing at a Mexican nightclub? You know?
We're talking about his car, not about what kind of club it was.
Okay.
Just be quiet and pay attention. So you're inside the club and you're dancing, and I assume doing what you do at a club, and it came time for you to leave. According to your complaint, you got into your car. You were in the passenger seat, front passenger seat. Is that right?
Yes.
Your male friend and your two female friends were in the back seat.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, you acknowledge that you took his car.
I didn't take it. The police report doesn't say I took it, my friend took it.
That's what you say. You say your friend took the car and you left it at your brother's house. We'll get to that in a moment. Now, according to your complaint, sir, you got out of the car.
Yes.
Tell me why.
When I was leaving the club, there was a girl, excuse me, there was a girl that I spoke to earlier at the club. She flagged me down to talk to me, I parked my car, left the car running, went around the car to talk to the girl.
How far away from the car were you at that point?
2 feet. I was right next to my car. I was talking to her. My friend was in the car, so I felt safe since he was on the back seat. He got out of the car to join the conversation.
So he left the girls in the car too, and the two of you guys went and talked to this other girl.
We were standing right next to the car talking to the girls, correct?
Was there one girl or more than one girl that you were talking to?
One girl.
So the two of you guys were talking to one girl?
I was talking, he was listening.
Okay. And then what happened?
And then as sudden, I saw my car moving, like backing up. I looked at my car, and then I saw Lily on the driver's seat. I tried to run after her to stop her, like telling her to stop. And the security guards in the club, they also ran after her, but she took off at high speed. I ran to a payphone in the parking lot, and I called 911. I reported the car stolen. The police responded within minutes. They tried to screen the whole area around, like the club. They couldn't find the car.
Now, you ultimately, according to your complaints, had to take a taxi cab home for $100.
Actually, 115, and that was about 3 hours later because I had to walk for about 3 or 4 miles to get to the nearest payphone at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I called the cab, and I went
And then
home.
you got the car back. Ultimately, they found the car.
Correct. Actually, she took the keys to the police department, and she told them where the car is.
Okay. How much later?
I would say about at least 16, 17 hours later, I was able to locate my car.
Now, describe the car when you got it back, sir.
The car was very dirty. There was vomiting on the door, on the inside, on the interior and the exterior, on the carpet, on the leather. There was so much trash, like fast food trash from Jack in the Box. The property inside the car was badly vandalized.
What property?
I had a radar detector.
You had what?
A radar detector.
Radar detector.
That I paid $380 for it. This is the mounting bracket, and this is the wire connection, and that's all what's left from that device. My Ray-Ban sunglasses were flattened. Somebody has been sitting on them, so they're not usable. And as you can see, that the whole frame is twisted.
What's in the bag?
In the bag, actually, this is my belongings were left like this. If you look at them, some of them are business documents. Some of them are checkbooks that have been taken out of their cover. My credit cards were like.
Well, were these in a suitcase or an attaché case or just in the glove compartment?
I had them. Just on the floor. I had them like this in the trunk. I had them like this in bags like these in the trunk. And then when I found the car, everything was trash and the bags were empty and the credit cards were all over. Until this point, I don't know if there is any of the credit cards missing or the IDs that I have because it's just a big mess for me to go through it in such a short period of time.
All right.
If you want me to itemize the parts that were damaged or missing.
In a minute.
Okay.
Now let's hear your story. Look at me.
Okay.
Because I read your answer.
Okay. He picked us up and we went out. There was no intention, like, you know, we didn't go out as a date. We went as friends.
He called you or you called him?
He paged me, and I called him back.
So you called him?
Yeah, and he asked me, what are you going to do tonight? I said, I'm going to go out. And then he says, well, why? Because we were going to go out before, but I was like, I didn't want to go out with him. And we went, he came and he picked us up.
You and two friends?
Me and my friend here. My other friend, she moved already. They picked us up. They weren't even dressed to go to a club at all. I mean, he was wearing like jeans and some shoes with no socks and like almost a t-shirt. It was like a t-shirt. And we went out. He didn't do anything. All he did was sit down the whole night. We were on our own.
Miss Nava.
Yes.
He may not have been dressed to go out to a club. I think you are not in the position to even refer to that, since in my judgment, you are not dressed appropriately for court.
Well,
do you understand?
I'm coming from work.
I don't care whether you're coming from work. Did
I'm
you ever
coming
hear
from work.
Listen to me, Miss Nava.
You know.
Did you ever hear the word sweater?
I don't have a sweater.
Right.
It's hot outside.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The way he was dressed was awful. Awful. No class at all. To drive a nice car like he does, he has no class to dress.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nikki Mohammed and Lily Nava met at a club. Nikki says Lily stole his car and trashed it. Lily says her friend was being attacked and needed the car to get away.
And then what happened?
Him and his friends were out somewhere, and me and my friends were just our way. So it was time to leave, and we were leaving. Okay, I had went inside to go to the restroom. My friend was in the car, and my other friend was in the car. When I come back, my friend here, and it's sitting down, she was kind of drunk, and she was crying, saying that he was going up her skirt. Well, because she was out the sunroof. They were parked, and she was standing out the sunroof. That he was going up her skirt. And I was like, why are you doing that? And then he started yelling at her. I was like, why are you yelling at her? And he was like, hold on. And that's when we reversed, and he parked. So after that, my friend Sandra, she didn't drink at all. She was mad because of what he was doing to her. And she's here to explain it to you.
This one, the one who was drunk? The one who you just told me was drunk. She's going to explain it to me? This I got to hear. Right here.
Water.
Well, I was just like on the sunroof. I was outside saying bye to my friends.
You were on the sunroof?
Yes.
You mean you were sticking your head out of the sunroof?
Yeah, but the car was parked.
Oh. Okay.
And I was just saying bye to my friends because we have friends there. And all of a sudden, the guy, I don't know who it was. I just saw a guy with a beard. He was going up my dress. He lifted my dress up.
So you didn't know who it was?
No, I just saw a guy, because I saw his face, and I just saw, like, a beard on his face.
Yeah, go ahead.
And that's it, and that's all. And I got down, and I sat down, and I was crying, because nobody has ever done that to me. And I don't like that, so.
You shouldn't drink to the point where you don't remember what's happening to you, madam.
No, I remember what happened to me. I know what he did.
She wasn't passed out.
Did you put your hands on her?
Your Honor, they were all wearing pants. None was wearing dress. So
She was wearing a dress.
I was wearing a dress.
And to answer your question, no, I did not.
Well, you were in the sun. Listen to me carefully. See, because I'm reading your answer here. Common sense suggests to me that the story that you're telling me is a lot of baloney. Let me tell you why. What I'm hearing is that he got out of the car to talk to another girl, which ticked you off.
No.
Just pay careful attention, because she's sitting in the back seat of the car. He was driving the car. How do you get him?
The car
we were parked in front of the club.
Doesn't make any difference.
Yeah,
the car was parked.
It does make a difference.
So, hey, listen carefully, ladies. So what you're telling me is, let me suggest this scenario, if it helps you. He got out of the driver's seat. He came back in the passenger seat where you were, because you were in the front passenger seat. That's what you just told me.
She was in the middle.
I was in the back.
The sunroof is right in the middle of the car. And she got up, and then he got back in the car.
See, I was gone. I just got up. I was waving bye to my friends.
This is the middle. The sunroof is the middle of the car.
Let me ask you this question, Miss Nava.
Nava.
You had two friends with you. One's drunk, right? And you just came back from the bathroom. And you're at a club where there are all kinds of security guards, right? Why didn't you take your drunk friend and your other friend and get out of the car and go into the club and say, we're having some problems with the people who brought us?
Because he was yelling at us, telling us to get in the car. He was like, get in the car, get in the car. I'm like, calm down, what's your problem? He's like, get in the car, we're gonna leave already.
So what you're telling me is, listen to me, so what you're telling me is, instead of, you were frightened of him. So instead
I'm not frightened of him.
So what did you get into the car?
I wasn't frightened, she was frightened. I just wanted to go home, that's all.
So why didn't you go? Who do you live with?
My dad and my brother.
So why didn't you go into the club and call your dad and call your brother? Let me tell you what you said here in your answer. Quiet! Let me tell you why. I read your answer and it all doesn't sound very kosher to me. You know what kosher means? They don't serve kosher food in a Mexican club. All right. You say, Sandra will appear with me in court.
She left already.
Just a second. So she's not here. Sandra, the one who you blamed for actually driving the car away.
She was driving.
No, that's what you say. I just drove along with Sandra. Hey,
we didn't blame her.
Are you?
We didn't blame her.
Try not to talk over me. Listen, madam, you don't know what was happening. You were drunk and probably vomited all over the car.
No.
All right?
That's not even true.
So, listen to me. Try to listen, ladies. You say that you did this because you were afraid for your own safety and your friend's safety, and that's why you took the car.
I didn't do anything. My friend drove the car. I didn't drive nothing. She got in the car and we left. She said,
we were just in the car and she just took off.
The police called at my parents' house, this is what you wrote, and I told them exactly where they could find the car, and they picked up the keys from me with no problem or questions, and they recovered the car.
Because they asked for me at my house, and they were over my house. We came back in the morning to my dad's house, and the police called me.
You came back in the morning?
Yeah.
Well, where were you all night?
At my brother's house.
Why?
Why? Because that was the nearest place we could get there. We just got there and we stood there. I didn't want to go home with the stolen car to my dad, so I went to my brother's.
Yes. I love it when a game plan comes together.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She goes and she could drink all she wants. That's how I feel.
I wasn't driving, so it's all right.
Oh, please. They tell me Costa Rica is a very good place to live in retirement.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nikki Mohammed is suing acquaintance Lily Nava for taking his Lexus and vandalizing it. Lily says she only borrowed the car and did no damage.
Let me see your damages, sir. You have...
I have $115 for taxi.
Okay.
I had $46.90.
Just a second, Bert.
Sure.
Turn on the buttons, because, you know, Mother doesn't know how to do buttons.
That's all good.
Mother knows how to do truth, but not buttons. Go.
$115 for a taxi cab.
You're a big tipper. Yeah, go ahead.
No, actually, it's about 35 miles.
It was $100 here that you wrote here in the complaint, sir. When you put it on the back, you said $115. So I assumed that it was $100. You gave him a $15 tip. Don't lie to me. You want me to show you? You want me to show you your complaint?
Actually, it was miswritten. But anyway, it's $115 for taxi cab. It's $46.90 for rental car. It's $35 for the key emblem.
When did you rent a car?
The next day.
Why?
At 9:30, because I had no car. I had to go about my business.
Why don't you tell your girlfriend to take you?
Madam. Madam.
When I received the keys back.
Ay, ay, ay. This is our future. Go ahead. This is our future.
When I received,
Come.
When I received
What
the
else?
keys, when I received the keys back, they were missing this emblem, $35 worth of emblem. The Whistler ES80 detector, that's worth $380. Ray-Ban glasses that are flattened for $125.
Get the Ray-Ban glasses.
$165.
165?
$165 for detailing.
For the what?
Detailing.
What's detailing?
Detailing the car, to clean the car, to clean
To clean it.
the
Oh, to
vomit.
clean it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
And
want to clean out the car.
$16 for jumper cables that were missing from the trunk.
Jumper cables.
I don't think that they took your jumper cable, sir. Hey, Bert, are
We
these
didn't
nice
take
Ray-Bans?
anything from his car. We left everything there.
Quiet. You trashed his car. There isn't a question in my mind that you and your friends trashed his car.
He could have put it all together by now. Look at that bag. It's been like 6 months now.
Mr. Mohammed, I want to tell you something. Bird, you like this?
Yeah.
It was
Still has it in the
yesterday.
bag.
She may buy them.
125 for the Ray-Bans?
Yeah. 125 for the Ray-Bans. What else?
That's it. That's
how much
the
we got?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
I got
7 items.
$682.90.
$682.90.
No. That is not correct.
That's what's got. Bird never makes a mistake with the calculator,
Well,
sir.
$115.
I'm not giving you credit for the emblem, sir, on your keys. Go ahead. What else?
There are 7 items. If you add them up right.
These are the items, Bird. $165 for detailing, $125 for the Ray-Bans, $380 for the radar detector, $47 for the rental car, and $115 for a taxi cab.
$832?
Okay. Now, Mr. Mohammed, you have to exercise good judgment, sir.
Sure.
Yeah, you're too old for this.
How old are you?
I'm 18. He's 30, what, 5?
Madam, nobody dragged you in the car. Nobody told you that you had to go with him. Nobody said. Nobody said.
He lied about everything. He
Lied
lied
about
his
his
name,
age.
about his age, where he lived, everything. Everything he told me was a lie.
Good. So you stole his car. Stupid.
We didn't steal it, though.
Just a second. Let me explain something to you. This is dangerous business. Dangerous business. You acted like an idiot that night. You got one friend who's drunk. I don't know where the other one is. I don't know whether she had been drinking or not.
It's all right, though.
She doesn't drink. She's old enough to drink. The other girl's not old enough to drink. She's old enough she could drink all she wants. That's how I feel.
I wasn't driving, so it's all right.
Oh, please. Costa Rica. They tell me Costa Rica is a very good place to live in retirement.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Mr. Mohammed, be smart, right? Don't fool around with babies. These are babies. They're not fully cooked yet. The only thing that they are is stupid, because they shouldn't have been in your car. And they certainly, if they felt that they were threatened, which I doubt. See, because if I really felt that they were threatened by you or your friend, I would have some compassion for them. But it seems to me, if you feel threatened in a situation and you are in a place where there is all kinds of security, you take yourself.
But they don't even do nothing.
You take yourself inside to a phone booth where there are a lot of people, and you make a phone call to your father, your brother, whatever else.
He said himself, the phone's not till 3 blocks away.
That's not true. They're in the parking lot.
Didn't you just say that?
No.
Yeah. And you're lying.
No.
Again.
It's right there in the police report.
Always lying. Always.
There is a phone in the club.
But he said he had to walk.
There is a phone.
He said he had to walk.
He said
he could have gone to the phone in the club too.
Madam, he said he chased your car.
Where? To the end of the parking lot?
God, get her out of here. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $832.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
The way he was dressed is awful. Awful. No class at all. To drive a nice car like he does, he has no class or dress. Right now, maybe, but when he went out with us, no way. She was drunk. You know, I knew what was going on.
But see, that's all right. I'm old enough.
This is a joke, you know? This is a joke. He's a 30-year-old man. He's kind of grown.
She had no choice but to drop the kids off at a police station. Rana was furious that Kathy would do such a thing and refused to pay her.
Order, all rise. Now, this is case number 175 on the calendar in the matter of Burgess versus Rojas. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat. Have a seat.
And Ms. Burgess, your complaint alleges that you babysat for the defendant's 2 children. You had an agreement with her that she was to pay you $125 for babysitting for her children from when to when?
Well, she actually said $100 and $25 for food, and it was from Friday night at 8 o'clock until 8 o'clock the next day, and that she would pick up her
8 p.m.
kids.
the next day?
Right.
So for a 24-hour period?
Right.
And had you babysat for her children before?
Absolutely.
And had been paid?
No, I had not been paid. I babysat it one night when her little girl was out crying that her mom was on drugs. I did that as a charity cause, you know, just to be a good person. I did it a second time. She had claimed that I babysat her for a few hours. She had claimed that her mother was alongside the roadside and it was an emergency and she had to go that time. She offered to pay me that time. I didn't take it. And later on, my son said that she was all dressed up to go out for the evening, and
so you had taken care of her children before on a few occasions, but had not been paid?
That's right.
But on this occasion, you were going to be paid. Why?
Right. Because it was going to be a long time, and because I had other plans. We had other things to do. It was going to be for a long period of time.
When did she contact you about these plans for Friday to Saturday?
It was approximately 30 minutes before 8 o'clock.
On Friday night?
Right.
Is that correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Well, where were you going?
I was going to Fontana, California.
For what?
To take care of some business, to look for some trucks, some 10-wheeler trucks. My mom was originally supposed to babysit. An hour before I got ready to go, she reneged and she said that she wasn't feeling well, that she could not do it. So that's when I called Kathy. I called Kathy at about 7:30 that evening. I asked Kathy, would she be able to babysit for me? She asked me, how much would I pay her? I told her I'd be gone until 8 o'clock, probably somewhere around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock that Saturday evening. Kathy asked me, could I pay her up front all of the monies? I told her no. I said, I'll give you half now and half upon my return.
So did you give her half?
Yes, I did. I
How
gave
much
her the
did you-
$50.
Is that correct?
She gave me $50. But she also said that she was going to give me $25 for the food.
Okay, assuming that's correct. Assuming that she said she was going to give you $25 for the food for 24 hours that you were going to watch her 2 children. She gave you $50. So that means she owed you $75. Is that correct?
Right.
Well, she didn't come
She's
back.
not being honest.
Just a second. Assuming that that's correct.
Yeah.
I haven't said it's correct, but assuming that's correct, that means that at this point, if she came home at 8 o'clock on Saturday night, you would have gotten another $75, correct?
Right.
What happened at 8 o'clock on Saturday night?
Well, there was no call, and I waited up all night for her, and I paged her several times at long distance. She never called. When in the morning, when I finally spoke to her, she said her pager was off. And then, and on and on and on. I mean, you know, my kids know too.
On and on and on. I mean, your complaint goes on for a long period of time. You left your children with a neighbor for 24 hours, and then you don't show up.
Okay, what happened, the deal was, I told Kathy that I would be returning that Saturday evening. I told her, however, if I did return too late, that I would not disturb them and wake them up. I said I would not disturb them and wake them up, but I called.
Why didn't you come back for your... Look at me. Why didn't you come back for your children when you were supposed to?
Because we were driving, and I didn't want my
Who was driving?
My boyfriend. He was driving, and I didn't want him driving. That time of night, he had had no sleep, and I didn't want him driving from that evening until that morning. I didn't feel safe. When I spoke with Kathy, I did call. Brittany said that you sat there and listened to me. It would not pick up the phone.
It's not true at all.
Just a second. I mean, quite frankly, I've read I've read your complaint and I've read your answer. I find both of your actions absolutely outrageous. Yours and hers. Because what you did when she didn't come back is you took her children to the police station. That's an outrageous thing to do. Miss Burgess?
Right. 24 hours after, and I had other things to do.
No, just a second. Whether you had other things to do or not. Compassion for her
She abandoned her children.
Hey, listen to me.
And I had compassion. I was crying and everything. I had compassion. I felt really bad. Her child was out of control. She had slammed my son in the back. He has rollerblades in the back of his thing.
Miss Burgess, did you call? You had her mother's number.
Hey. I had not her mother's number.
Just a second.
Her daughter did.
Fine. If her daughter had her grandmother's telephone number, and if things had gotten that kind of out of control,
we called on Sunday to come get her.
Hey, why didn't you just let her call her grandmother, you get on the phone and say, I cannot, it's Sunday morning, I have plans, the kids are not getting along, because according to your complaint, all the kids were not getting along well.
That's what we did.
And that's what I didn't understand.
Just a second. I'm not finished with you yet, because you put your boyfriend over your children. So I'm not finished with you yet.
I put my safety over my
children. You put your boyfriend over your children.
That's exactly right.
Everybody puts themselves over children. Children are the innocents. They didn't ask to have a mother who goes traipsing off for 2 days, leaves her children with a stranger to go looking for a 10-wheeler truck.
They've been knowing Kathy for 8 months. She's not a stranger. Her children are at my house on a daily basis.
I wouldn't leave my children with somebody that I knew for 8 months for a weekend.
Her children are at my house every day.
So what?
They come stay with me for hours while she goes shopping. I've never charged Kathy for babysitting.
That's not true.
Oh, Kathy, please.
Miss Rojas.
Kathy, tell the truth.
Listen to me. I'm going to throw you both out of here in 2 seconds because you both deserve each other. You did the wrong thing by taking the children to the police station. You had an alternative. Your alternative was to call the grandmother and say, if you do not, don't interrupt me, if you do not come to pick up your grandchildren, I'm taking them to the police station.
I did that.
Oh, yeah? Just a second.
In the morning, I did that, and I called the police officer.
No,
and I said,
I'm not asking you police. Don't dance around it. You called and spoke to the grandmother.
She never called back. We said, come get your kids. She never called back.
No, I didn't say come get your kids.
You know, you could have called me.
Miss Rojas,
she had 2 mobile phone numbers.
Could never get through.
You tell me.
I'm going to tell you, because I'm going to throw her out in 2 seconds.
Okay.
I told you, when I ask you a question, you'll answer it.
Okay.
This is a courtroom.
Okay.
Good. You did not call the children's grandmother and say to them, I am not...
my phone call. Never returned the phone
No,
call.
I don't believe you, Miss Burgess.
I
don't
swear
believe,
that we did
I do
that.
not believe that you called the grandmother and left a message either on her machine or
She
speaking
did.
to somebody
Bibi
at the
did.
house. Not
Also.
her, you!
I did also. And you know, I
you
did
just
have
a second.
compassion.
You did what? Yeah, I want you to look at me and tell me what you did Sunday morning with her grandmother.
We called the grandmother.
Not we.
I didn't have the grandmother's number, first of all.
But
we
she
had her
did.
call it, and then I called the grandmother. She never came. And I had compassion. I was crying when I took the little girl there.
You're a liar.
You can say
You're a
that.
liar.
You can
That's
say
just
that.
why you came here with that red dress on looking like Satan.
Throw her out of the courtroom.
Out. Step out, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I feel sorry for your children. You are clearly an unfit custodian for your children. It's just too
I don't
bad that they
believe
don't have alternatives.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kathy Burgess wants to be paid for babysitting Rana Rojas's children. Rana says she won't pay the bill because Kathy dropped her kids off at a police station when she was late getting home.
Bert, is she ready to come back into the courtroom?
Yes, Judge.
Good.
Now, just answer my questions. You said you had this little girl call her grandmother. Is that right?
And I called too.
Could you step up here for me? Right up here. Right up here. Tell me your name.
Brittany,
How old are you, Brittany?
9 years old.
Okay. You know about telling the truth?
Yes,
You know how important it is to tell the truth in court?
yes,
So if I ask you some questions, you sure you're going to tell me the truth?
yes,
Brittany, you remember staying with Miss Rojas?
yes,
Do you remember when your mom left?
yes.
Can you tell me what your mom told you when she left?
My mother told me that...
Look at me.
She told me that she would be back Saturday evening, and she said if she didn't, she would call.
Do you know where she was going?
Yes.
Where was she going?
She was going to Fontana, I believe.
For what?
For looking for a truck with her boyfriend.
Do you know why you weren't staying with your grandma?
Because my grandma had denied it.
Had said no,
Yes,
that she wasn't going to babysit.
yes,
Do you spend a lot of time with your grandma?
yes,
And you know her phone number?
yes.
Did you call her on Sunday?
Yes, but she was not home. She was probably either sleeping or at work.
So you didn't reach her when you tried. Do you know if Miss Burgess tried to call her on Sunday?
No.
So nobody else tried to call her all day Sunday?
No.
And how many times had you tried to call her?
I tried to call her twice.
And there was no answer?
No.
What time did you try to call?
I
Grandma?
called her at 11:45,
Mm-hmm.
between 11 and 12.
What time did you get up Sunday morning?
Sunday morning, I got up at 10:30 p.m.
10:30 a.m. So you were up late Saturday night?
Yeah.
How late were you up?
Up until 12:30.
What were you doing so late?
We were playing, and we were, like, watching TV.
Any problems in the house while you were there? Were you fighting with those two kids over there?
No, we weren't.
Has your mom ever left to go away on weekends before with her boyfriend?
Once.
You like this boyfriend of your mother's?
Yeah,
Yes or no?
sort of.
How long has she had this boyfriend?
For about 7 or 8 months.
Mm-hmm. Does he ever stay at your house?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You're a nice little girl.
Thank you.
Smart. You do well in school?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Good. Looks to me like you do well in school. How'd you feel when you went to the police station?
I felt scared, and I felt like Kathy didn't want us anymore, and Kathy didn't like us.
Before you went to the police station, did you try to call Grandma again?
Yes.
What happened?
She had answered, but she had said, I can't come and pick you up because she was cooking and she had to go to the doctor.
Who spoke to her?
Me.
Did Kathy speak to her at all?
Yes. Kathy had said that she didn't need my grandmother.
Who did she say that to?
My mother, my grandmother.
When did she say that?
She said that right before when we went to the police station.
Okay, go and sit down. Now, Miss Burgess, when you spoke to the children's grandmother right before you took them to the police station, did you tell her that you were planning to take the children to the police station?
I did not speak to the grandmother before I took them to this. I spoke in the morning. We left a message in the morning.
I didn't ask you that question.
Then that's no to the answer.
Okay, because she spoke to her grandmother in the afternoon.
Well, I didn't.
It's clear to me that...
And I called the police station. I asked him, what do I do?
Miss Burgess, stop interrupting me. Only one person can talk at one time. That's me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're a child abuser and something needs to be done with you.
Pills and
Shut
get
up.
you some psych meds and you're going to be fine.
You better learn how to be a mother instead of screwing around.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kathy Burgess wants to be paid for babysitting Rana Rojas's children. Rana says she won't pay the bill because Kathy dropped her kids off at a police station when she was late getting home.
If the child was able to speak to her grandmother in the late afternoon, and her grandmother said to her, I can't come and get you because I'm cooking, or whatever.
What a reason.
It's clear to me that you could have spoken to her too in the afternoon because at that point she was in fact home.
She never called the grandmother in the afternoon. I left a message.
I believe that you
Whatever.
did.
I
believe that you spoke to her grandmother in the afternoon because it...
Anyway. Okay.
I believe that she did because this child would not tell me something that would be hurtful to her.
What about my
clearly,
children? You don't care about talking to them?
I'm not interested in talking to your children. For what reason?
Because he has an injury on his back.
Listen to
and
me.
things like that. She did.
Listen to me. Miss Burgess, that's not what this case is about.
I'll tell you what this case is about, Judge Judy. This case is about she left her mother she left her kids for 2 days. I agreed for 1 day. Her child was out of control because she was hurt that her mother didn't keep a promise. I had no alternative. I didn't know if she was going to come back and get her kids. Maybe she would have been a week.
That's bull.
Listen to me.
So I mean, I had no alternative. I felt bad about doing it. I was crying at the police station.
I just really wish you would start telling the truth.
I wish you would. And come get your kids and keep your promise. You're hurting your kids also.
Don't talk to her. I've already thrown her out once because she doesn't know where she is. What I'm telling you is, you agreed to take care of the children. I believe that Ms. Rojas was totally and completely irresponsible, took off with her boyfriend, and didn't give two hoots about disappointing her children and not coming back for an additional, not hour, not 2, I'm speaking.
Okay, go ahead.
Not 1 hour. Not 2 hours, not 3 hours, but another 24 hours before she showed up for her kids. That's irresponsible.
That's right.
No question about that. What I'm suggesting to you is the children are always the innocents.
That's right, they are.
And they should not have been taken to a police station until every other possibility was exhausted, and that meant, Miss Burgess, whether you like to acknowledge it or not, spending the entire afternoon on Sunday trying to reach their grandmother and saying to their grandmother, I can't control all these 4 kids together. They're not getting along. I have no alternative at this point, but if you don't come to get them, I'm going to have to take them to the police station. I believe that you had a responsibility to do that. And, Miss Burgess, you can dance around from today till tomorrow. You did not do that.
I left a message to the mother. I did it. That's what the police told me to do.
That is not good enough before you take children to the police station. As for you, Miss Rojas, it's everything is called a mother these days. You clearly have a boyfriend that interests you more than the welfare of your children. Let us assume I believe what you said, which I don't. Let us assume I believe what you said, that you didn't want to drive late at night with your boyfriend on Saturday night because you didn't feel safe. And it was already late at night. So you check into a motel with your boyfriend, and you sleep from 9 o'clock p.m. until 2 o'clock in the morning from wherever you are. That gives you 5 hours sleep, more than enough time to be fresh, so that when your children get up first thing Sunday morning, you're home, 7 o'clock in the morning, with your apologies to Miss Burgess for not being home at 8 o'clock when you said you were going to be home.
Right.
You didn't show up at the police station till 6 o'clock Sunday night.
No,
Where were you?
No,
on
I got there
Hey,
before 6.
Where were you all day Sunday?
All day Sunday we were driving. It took us 8 hours to drive.
Well, let me ask you this question.
It took
If
8 hours to drive from San Diego. We ended up going, after Fontana, we went to San Diego.
Why did you go to San Diego?
Because we wanted to. She was aware. She was
I
aware.
want to tell you something.
I have phone records where I stayed on the phone with Kathy Sunday morning at 9 a.m. and 11 for 6 minutes
I
and
feel
4
sorry
minutes.
for your children.
6 minutes and
you
4
are
minutes. When I
clearly an unfit custodian for your children. It's just too bad that they don't have alternatives.
I don't believe so.
Well, I'm telling you, I believe so, and I've been around probably longer than you've been alive. So you are unfit to take care of your children because what you did was place your pleasure time over the welfare of your children.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
What you did, Miss Burgess, was not the right thing either. However, you are entitled to babysitting money for these children because you did, in fact, babysit for them. Now, you're asking for $650 when your original agreement with her, according to you, was... When your original agreement, according to you, was $125, according to her, $100. So even if I give you the benefit of the doubt and you kept the children an additional 24 hours, that would be an extra $125 or $250, not $650.
That's not exactly. Please let me explain my case, okay?
I'm giving you $250, madam. You are lucky you're getting it because you are lucky that you're getting it. $250 for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. Step out.
Whatever.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Hell, look at this.
Kathy, please.
Look what your daughter did to my son. You don't care. You're out screwing around with your boyfriend.
You're a liar.
You shut the hell up. I think you're trash. You're not worthy to have kids, and you ought to go get rid of your kids. And you also burned the little girl that she came over to ask him. You didn't want to come get your kids. You want to go to Nugget
You're
Town.
putting
She
on a
told
big
me.
show, aren't you?
I don't care.
Oh, look at you.
That's right.
Relax, we have a heart attack. Shut up, Miss Piggy.
Jill Villa claims her manicurist, Erica Caceres, quit before her one-year lease was up. Erica says Jill turned the salon into a shopfront church for gangsters.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Your Honor, this is number 103 on the calendar in the matter of Villa versus Caceres. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Miss Villa, you have a beauty salon, and according to your complaint, you rent space in that beauty salon to independent contractors.
Right.
Such as the defendant, who is a nail specialist.
Look nice.
You rented her space in your salon at the rate of $200 a month, is that right?
Right.
You say that she, and it was a 3-year lease.
It was a 1-year lease.
It was a 1-year lease. 1-year lease. You say that she left after a relatively short period of time. She owes you somewhere over $2,000 for rent.
Right.
You say she left. She says that she was asked to leave. So, tell me first about this establishment and how it works.
Okay. I have a salon. I do hair. I have 4 stations. I have pictures of those. And I have 1 space for nails.
And what's the financial arrangement that you have?
Basically, they just rent that space from me, and they take care of their insurance, their taxes, everything that to run a business.
Okay, how did you find each other?
I went into a beauty supply store. I saw her nails. She does great nails, and I was looking for a nail technician at the time, and I asked her if she would be interested in booth renting a space for me. And she came in and signed a lease and rented for 1 year, and then in December of, before her year lease was up, in December of '96,
I asked her if she would want to sign another lease.
For another year?
Right.
I see. Okay, when did she leave?
She left in May 14th. So she stayed her whole year. Now her new lease would have started May through May of '98, and that's the signed one that she has.
Well, tell me your version of what the events were surrounding her leaving and breaking the second
Actually, Your Honor,
year's
they were very confusing. I had a staff meeting where I had 2 hair stations available, and I hired 2 hairdressers. So I had a staff meeting with one hairstylist and Erica, letting them know that there would be 2 hairstylists starting at Making Waves.
Making Waves is the name of your shop.
Right. Her reaction was very rude. She was obnoxious.
Well,
and
that's your interpretation of her actions. What did she say? What did she do?
She said, I will not work with white women. I'm prejudiced, and I do not like change. And I have a witness to that who heard that. I have 2.
And so what did you say to her?
I said, you haven't even worked with them one day. How can you say you're prejudiced against these girls? I just don't like them.
Okay, first of all, when I signed a contract going into a salon, not a church. And that's exactly what the salon turned into.
Explain that to me.
Well, she got religious, which is fine, that's her business. And she had the pastor there all the time.
Who's the pastor?
Right over there.
And what were they doing?
Running their church out of the salon.
What does that mean, running their church out?
That's not true.
What does that mean, running their church out of the salon?
They had their own phone line in there. The pastor was always there. The men's home, which is these men that they're trying to, from prison, that they're trying to turn over, I don't know, to make them better men, I guess. We're always there. Okay, these are men that have been in prison for really bad crimes.
So they were coming into the salon?
Right. So when I have a client sitting there, they're seeing this man there with all these tattoos on his neck, all these men. They don't want to be there. They're uncomfortable. My clients came in to get their nails done, not to be preached to. And what they do is preach God to my clients. My clients did not want to hear about God.
While they were having their nails done?
Yes, they have.
Step up here, sir.
And Jennifer's witness to that.
Get to you in a minute. Tell me your name.
Robert Dominguez.
Mr. Dominguez, when did you become involved with this salon?
When Jill and her husband first started coming to our church, and
when was that?
That was in '96. Jill had offered me a corner there to have a phone there so that I can do business and make contact with people for the crusade that we were organizing.
Tell me about the crusade.
What a crusade is there is we reach out to the gang members, the drug addicts, those that are considered outcasts of society. And during that time, since we were just beginning there in that city, and finances at the time were very, very short, so Jill had offered me a corner. She offered me to that I could put a phone there. And from that point on, one thing I need to make clear is I don't force the gospel on anybody. People ask me, and I in turn respond.
Sir, I am correct, therefore, that when you say you reach out to gang members, you reach out to drug addicts, and you reach out to former prison inmates, you reach out to them and ask them to come in so that you can counsel them. Is that correct?
Witness to them.
Witness to them, counsel them, whatever. And you were doing this witnessing or counseling in this salon?
No, it wasn't. No, not in the salon.
Are you telling me, sir, that you never had any of these people who you were trying to reach come into the salon?
No.
They never did?
No. The men's home were there during the crusade. I wasn't counseling them. I wasn't witnessing to them. They were part of the workforce of helping me organize this crusade.
Mr. Dominguez, maybe we're not understanding each other, sir. Did the people that you were involved with, either people who were reformed and then reaching out, or the people that you were reaching out to, ever come into the salon?
Yes, they did.
That's right. And they came in, you spoke to them, they spoke to each other,
We had conversation.
Did you ever speak to any of the defendant's clients while they were having their nails done or while they were waiting to have their nails done?
When I was asked. When I was asked either by Erica, or I was either introduced to them, or they would ask me questions once they
That's a
found-
lot of ors. Step up. Who are you?
Jennifer Lopez.
Jennifer, how were you involved in this operation?
I also worked at the salon and was asked to leave.
Why?
Because I was an evil spirit.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You changed the establishment from a beauty salon, hair and nails, to a beauty salon, hair, nails, and redemption.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Manicurist Erica Casares says she quit her lease at Jill Villa's beauty salon because Jill turned the place into a church for outcasts.
You were an evil spirit? Who told you that?
Erica.
That's what they stated.
That's not true, Your
Jill
Honor.
stated that to me.
That is not true,
Yes, it
Your
is
Honor.
true.
Just a second.
Can I say why she was dismissed?
Were you a hairstylist?
Mm-hmm. She was dismissed because she came into my shop intoxicated with a male gentleman with her. She was stealing from Erica because Erica kept saying how she's stealing all my nails.
No.
She's stealing all my nails. She was stealing my
stuff is
nail
locked up.
accessories.
Just a second. I really want to find out. Now I know you were a hairstylist. You were either
spirit. Give me a
dismissed or you
break.
left, whatever it is.
Give me a break.
I want you to tell me about
That's a good
this
one, Erica.
group that was running inside the salon in addition to hair and nails.
Okay, she moved the pastor in a desk, so we all had to move stations because there wasn't enough room. It's a very small salon. And then we would talk about God. They play Christian tapes all day, and I think it's great, but you know it shouldn't have been mixed in with our business.
When you say playing Christian tapes all day, you mean over the whatever PA system you had? Instead
That's
of
not true. I had a little radio by my station. Your Honor, both these ladies on their own came to our church. They were part of our church.
That's good.
Yeah,
No,
that's
good.
great.
That's fine because that's where the church
I never
belonged.
heard that there was a problem. I never heard that there was a problem in the salon. Never.
Ms. Casares, I've heard from Ms. Villa about what she recalls of the time that you told her that you were leaving. I'd like you to tell me about the day.
She asked me to leave.
Well, tell me about it.
I just told her I was no longer happy there. You can't tell Jill nothing about the church.
So you told her you were not happy?
Right.
And what, and?
To go back, before I signed the contract, she stated in front of me, Jennifer, and Mary Alice, anytime we were not happy, we were allowed to leave. She was holding nobody to their contract. She had done that before, and she didn't want nobody else to be there that were not happy.
Okay,
So we had a verbal agreement that when we were not happy, we can let her know and we can leave.
Well, let me tell you what the law is. The law is when you sign a contract, and it's a contract for property, you can't go outside that contract for an interpretation. So whatever you sign is what you're bound to. Do you understand?
Yeah,
that's why we have contracts, and that's why we have laws surrounding contracts. You call what you're suggesting we call parole evidence, which means evidence that goes outside the four corners of that document. And you can't do that. So I want you to be smart the next time. You don't sign an agreement with the understanding, well, we have a side agreement, which is if you're not happy, you can break this contract. Because that doesn't make sense. If that's your agreement, then what do you need a contract for? Right? If your agreement is, if you're not happy, you can leave, then why would she ask you to sign a contract? You understand?
She needed it for books or something.
Baloney. Come on. Ms. Casares, what I'd like you to tell me about this phone conversation that you had. You told her you were leaving because you weren't happy.
Right.
And then she called you on the phone and said, tell me why you're not happy.
I just told her. I said, it's because of the church thing. I can't handle it being in there. I was losing clients. Without clients, I make no money. With no money, I cannot pay rent. That's just, and you can ask her, last month, I was so slow there. And it's because I was losing clients. I have statements here.
I can't read statements.
And then,
statements are not admissible.
Well, after that, she just asked me, when I told her about the church thing, she goes, when can you be out of here? So to me, that was throwing me out by asking me when I could be out of there. So I told her. I turned around, I looked at my husband, I go, when can we go get my stuff? He said, right now. I went and picked up my stuff, I was out of there. That's all the phone
That was a
conversation
lie.
was.
When you signed your contract in December, your renewal
I signed my
contract.
contract in February because my contract was up in February.
Okay, so you signed it in February. By the way, can I see it, please? Ms. Casares, listen to me very carefully. You signed this contract December 20th, 1996 is the date you signed it, not February.
Okay, February was when my contract was up, my first one. Then never.
She said it was up in May.
No,
And
my
she
first
did.
one was up in February.
Just a
Mine
second.
was
No,
up-
no,
mine
no,
was
no.
up in May.
No.
Yours is
Ms.
up in
Casares,
April.
you got to get it straight. You signed this in December. Your first lease was not up until May. This is for a year after that. Now, what I want to know from you is, when for the first time did Mr. Dominguez come into the shop?
Maybe in February or March. February, I don't know. I don't know when he came in.
Did he come in before or after you signed this new lease?
After.
Is that correct, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
You came in after she signed this lease.
In March of '97.
Okay. Ms. Villa, let me tell you what your problem is, madam.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She ran into my shop and said, guess what? Brian down the street wants me, and he wants me bad.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
I'm not sure, nor will I ever be certain, of the reason that Ms. Casares left, whether you asked her to leave or whether she said, I'm leaving. She contracted for space in a beauty salon, not a beauty salon / mission. After she signed her lease, you changed the establishment from a beauty salon, hair and nails, to a beauty salon, hair, nails, and redemption. You can't do that.
Your Honor.
Listen to me. You changed the rules.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Can I state something, please? When I asked Robert to take some space for the Stop the Violence campaign, which was only going to last a period of 2 months, I sat down with each one of my stylists and we had a staff meeting, and I told them that he would be joining us, and if there was any problem to please let me know now. I didn't see any problem. If I would have seen a problem and heard that they had a problem with it, Your Honor, I would have stopped it immediately.
Let me
They
ask you this
never
question,
once
Ms.
told
Villa.
me.
Did her business drop off?
Her business was skyrocketing. No. All the women in my church came to her to get their nails done.
They didn't pay me.
Yes, they did. I took it off your rent.
Ms. Villa, why do you think she would leave a business where she was making money? I mean, maybe I'm
Because
missing
she
something.
got a better
if her
deal down
business
the
was
street.
skyrocketing, why would she leave your business?
Because she got a better deal down the street.
What kind of better deal?
The guy, she had come into my shop, okay? She ran into my shop and said, guess what? Brian down the street wants me, and he wants me bad. He said that he will drop my rent, there won't be any contract, and I can go and work for him. Before she left, she was giving out her calling cards with his name on it.
Hold
and
it.
number.
Hold it. Did you go to work down the street?
Yeah, it's about a mile away.
Here's his ad.
I needed a place to take my clients to.
And when you went to work down the street, you went to work under the same conditions that you paid for space?
Yes, and it's a salon.
And how much rent did you pay in the space?
The new space? He's charged me $150 now, but it goes up in 6 months to $170. After 6 months, it goes up some more.
So you save yourself at least $50 a month going to him.
Yeah, which I had no problem with finish out my contract with Jill. But once you cannot tell Jill about a church and then her be the same with you. It doesn't work that way.
Well, that's conjecture. You see, now you're coming to conjecture. I was missing something, you see, because you say you had no business. She said you had a lot of business.
No.
Well, Miss Casares, let me suggest this to you, madam. Common sense always plays a very important part in judging. A competitor down the road would not offer you a better deal than you were getting in her place unless you were prepared to bring into that establishment
a substantial clientele.
Well, Your Honor.
So you bettered your situation by leaving her. You bettered your situation by leaving her by going to a place where you could have your clients and pay less rent.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
This is a difficult case, and I'm going to tell you why. It's difficult as far as the decision that I make, because, Ms. Villa, you changed the workspace that Ms. Casares contracted for by bringing in this gentleman who ran a different kind of a business within your salon operation. And I believe that that's unfair to do to somebody. And I, quite frankly, can understand why some people who are coming in to have their nails done in what they assume is going to be a predominantly female operation, you know, ladies sitting around having their nails done, etc., having this gentleman there, and a variety of other people who are either in the saving business or trying to be saved. That's disconcerting. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just saying it's not what she bargained for. On the other hand, I'm not really quite satisfied that his presence there was the only reason that you left. I would suggest that one of the reasons that you left was because you got a better deal down the road. Now, it may have been that you were unhappy with this situation there and you felt as if you would be more comfortable elsewhere. I think that you are responsible for part of the rental on that property. I think that if this gentleman being there is not a drawback, you should be able to rent that space in a relatively short period of time. I'm going to give you 5 months' worth of rent. Do you understand?
Yes.
You see to it that you re-rent the space. And if you can't re-rent the space, you better rethink your position about mixing your business with the church. You may want to keep them separately. You know,
They're no longer there.
They're no longer there? Well, that's good.
It was only for 2 months, which
That's good.
they knew.
All right, the judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. Thank you, that's all.
Parties are excused, you may step out.
On the next Judge Judy.
Nothing as far as I'm concerned. I never worked with her.
And I never knew you either.
Claimed Dr. Cole botched Sandra's breast enlargement surgery, and now she faces another operation.
Order, all rise. Quiet in the courtroom, all rise. Your Honor, this is case number 183 on the calendar in the matter of Lucio versus Cole. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mrs. Lucio, is this your husband?
Yes.
Why don't you have a seat, sir? And you are Dr. Cole?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Lucio, you are suing Dr. Cole because you say that he performed a breast augmentation procedure for you and you were not satisfied with the result.
That's correct, Your Honor.
I gather from your complaint that this was not the first time that you had had a breast augmentation procedure.
That's correct.
When was the first time that you had the procedure done?
It was in 1992.
What happened with that procedure?
It was fine.
So why are you doing it again?
For larger breasts.
Why?
It's what I wanted.
If you had the procedure done in 1992 and you said it was fine, what changed in the last 4 or 5 years?
I just thought that I would prefer larger breasts. I had breastfed my children, and I was at a certain size. And with age, my figure had changed, and that I wanted it more in proportion.
And are you telling me that you were totally satisfied with the procedure that was done in 1992?
Yes.
Well, let me make sure. Didn't you tell me in your complaint that your breast size was different? One was heavier than the other?
That was before any surgery.
And after the 1992 surgery, both breasts were exactly the same?
Pretty much. It was from a different doctor.
I know it was from a different doctor. What do you mean pretty much?
It was to my satisfaction, yes.
Okay. And then you consulted Dr. Cole.
That's correct.
Why didn't you go back to the doctor that you consulted in 1992 and who did the surgery in 1992?
He had moved.
Okay. Moved to another city, another...
I just couldn't find him. He had moved. He had moved from an area he wasn't... I couldn't find him. I couldn't locate him.
Did you try?
I had went to him when I had a problem with some pain, and I had went back to his office, and they were doing some remodeling around that area. And so, and also I had had a girlfriend that gave me some information on Dr. Cole, and I had seen his work on some lip surgery that he had done for her, and I just thought I'd try another doctor.
Okay. So he came well recommended to you?
He came recommended for a different type of surgery.
So why did you decide to use him for breast surgery?
I went and had a consultation with him. I listened to what he had to say, and I just thought I would use him.
How much was he going to charge you for the surgery?
He was going to charge me originally $3,600.
And ultimately?
The $75 consultation fee, and then I also paid, the total was $3,200 with the surgical center was $800, which brought a total of $4,000.
How much did you pay for the first surgery?
I don't recall, not the total.
Do you remember?
I wasn't involved with her at the time.
Oh.
I wasn't married to her at the time, Your Honor.
When did the two of you get married?
In '95.
But you have children from a prior marriage, is that right?
Correct, yes.
You have no children together?
No.
I want to ask you a couple of questions, so stand up here. You fell in love with her the way she was, right?
Yes.
Did you encourage her to have this second surgical procedure?
No, I did not.
Did you try to discourage her?
Yes, I did.
My kind of man. You said, I love you the way you are, honey, don't do it.
Yes, I did.
Probably should have listened to him. How long do you stay in the hospital when you have this surgical procedure?
2 hours.
And how long is the discomfort period afterwards?
It's for about a week.
Or more?
Or more.
Well, in this case, Your Honor, it's ever since it's happened. She's not able to even look at herself in the mirror. I have to deal with that.
Well, I don't quite understand, because according to the complaint, your complaint against Dr. Cole is that your breasts are a different size.
Correct, they're uneven.
Uneven.
We paid the money that we paid for them to be even. They were even the
I
first
wouldn't have
time.
listened to me. At my age, I don't look so closely anymore. Even, uneven, I'm just happy that I have them, that's it.
Well, Your Honor, if I may,
yes.
The first time she had it done, they were even. They were balanced out. We informed Dr. Cole, and we gave him the procedure that had been done the first time and explained to him that they were uneven and that the first doctor had compensated for the fact that they were uneven. He explained to us that he understood and that he would make the proper adjustment to make them come out even, which he did not.
Dr. Cole, I'll hear you, sir.
When the couple came to me, the chief complaint here was that they did not like the first surgeon's work at all. She complains, and I have pictures to show, that the nipples pointed towards the axilla or the armpits bilaterally.
Did you complain about that?
No, he showed that to me, but I hadn't noticed.
You hadn't noticed it?
I mean, it was the way I was.
Go ahead.
She had a large retraction pocket with a muscle pulling in on the right side particularly. The breasts weren't round or smooth. They were irregularly shaped where the type of implants that were placed were adhesed to the capsules.
I don't understand all that. Does that mean they didn't look nice?
They didn't look nice.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So if you want to come back into chambers with me and you want to show me what your breasts look like, I'm certainly prepared to do that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Plastic surgeon Dr. Richard Cole denies he did anything wrong when he performed breast enlargement surgery on Sandra Lucio. Sandra says Dr. Cole botched the procedure.
Go ahead, Dr. Cole.
The chief complaint they had at that time was the shape. They did not like the shape of the breast. They didn't think it was normal or natural, and there was a lot of discomfort, particularly on the right side. The second thing...
you said that you had gone back to the other doctor because you'd had some discomfort.
I had pulled a muscle.
Just a second. Look at me. Did you complain that you had discomfort to Dr. Cole?
That I had... No.
Discomfort?
No, he's not the one that I went back to. I went back to the original one.
I know that. When you went to see Dr. Cole, did you tell him that you had discomfort?
I had pain.
Pain. All right. You told him that you had pain on one side of your breast?
No, I had pain from the incisions, not pain from...
What difference does it make whether it's pain from the incision from the surgery or pain from the implant? It's the same thing. You had pain in your breast, madam. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
I understand.
Go ahead, Dr. Cole.
The second thing they said was they'd like to have the breast enlarged if possible. The third thing I garnished not from them, but from the records they had given me from the first surgery, that there was some inequality between the breast sizes. The doctor had estimated that the difference between the two breasts was around 25 cc's difference, which is less than 2 tablespoons. But I said, if that's the third thing in terms of your interest, I will try to get that as close as possible. When I did the surgical procedure, I had a difficult time getting the capsules, the shape of the breasts, and I spent most of my time working on that so they'd be round and smooth, the nipples would point forward. The second amount of time I tried to do was to get the implant of largest size that I could in. And I explained this to Lucio's time and time again, that I could only get the size implant in that I could get in. I could not get more stuff in the area if it would not go. And I fill the implants till they're completely full, and as much size as... I do not have any prior conceived notion about implant size. They cost the same to me. There's no more problem getting them in if they're bigger. I had no axe to grind as far as I put the largest ones that would fit in her body safely and still be able to close the muscle tissue. I did that, and by the time I got the implants filled, I could not take some out of one side to make them even because it would have made one implant grossly smaller than the other. And I explained this to him, that I had done the best I could to get best shape, the most size I could out of them, and that's what my aims were. She had on one side, just for numbers, 300 cc's before I started, and I ended up with 430. That's over a third larger than what she started off with. On the other side, again, I put 430 cc's.
Do you have photographs for me?
I have preoperative photographs.
And I'd like to see the postoperative photographs.
I don't have any postop. She did not come back from the postop.
I have some photographs.
Well, I'd like to take a look at...
Sir, stay right there.
Okay. Can I see the postoperative photographs, please?
May I say something, Your Honor?
Yes.
When we went to Dr. Cole informed us that he was able to put 400, the bag size, 400 cc's in her breasts and enlarge them to anywhere between, one side would be 450 to 460, the other side would be 490 to almost 500. When the doctor did the surgery, the only reason we even found out that he didn't put the right size in was because we asked for a copy of his report from his secretary. His secretary gave us a copy of the report. My wife was just devastated because he had not put the size that he indicated to us. We immediately went back into his office and said, "You didn't put the right size." He said, "Well, they no longer make that size."
Mr. Lucio.
Yes.
I can't use these photographs because these photographs don't show me anything. You showed me photographs. Your wife is wearing a brassiere.
Well, she was embarrassed to show you them without, Your Honor.
Well, then, that's not proof, sir. I need proof.
That shows you that I can't wear a bra.
No, it doesn't, madam, because I can, any woman can put on a bra, and unless she puts both sides in the same way, she can manipulate one side so one side looks one way and one side looks the other way. I have one set of photographs with the way you look preoperative, and I don't have anything here. You understand that, Mr. Lucio? I mean, what I have here is something that's masked, that's covered.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Then there's something more involved here than the desire to have perfect, huge breasts.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 38-year-old Sandra Lucio and her husband Jesse are suing Sandra's plastic surgeon, Dr. Richard Cole. The Lucios claim Dr. Cole botched Sandra's breast enlargement surgery, and now she faces another operation.
I mean, what I have here is something that's masked, that's covered.
Well, we have a report, I'm sorry, from another doctor, Dr. Villicana. Wait, no, it's, if I may, just, Your Honor, it's just a...
Evaluation and the cost of what it would be to correct the surgery.
I am not going to read a report from another doctor. If you want to show me another doctor's bill, a bill I will certainly look at, but I will not accept another doctor's statement in lieu of the doctor's testimony.
We were charged for this doctor's report so that he could also, you know, show you that there is a difference just by looking at my breast.
He says there's a difference. Madam, he says that there's a difference.
This is a drastic difference. I cannot wear a bra that's a normal size. One size fits and the other one does not. I would show you, you're a woman, you would just by looking at me. I can't wear a bathing suit. I can't wear anything that
Have you
is
been back
normal
to Dr. Cole?
We talked to Dr. Cole. The way he told me is that every woman is basically odd-sized. You're not born even. And he said that there wasn't much difference. To me, there is a difference. Eventually, after talking to him, then he said, okay, I agree. He would go in and reopen the valve. When we spoke to the other doctor...
When he said reopen the valve, he meant reopen the valve and take some out from one side?
No, he was going to put some more in.
Madam, I don't understand you. You know, I'm looking at the procedure, the preoperative procedure, the preoperative photographs. And quite frankly, I don't understand why in the world an apparently intelligent woman would want to have her breasts enlarged any larger than these are.
You make intelligent choices. I made an intelligent choice. You may not agree, but it was my choice.
It was your choice. It was your choice, and what's going to happen is you're going to have 3 surgeries on your breast. You know, there were women out there, Miss Lucio, who would love to just have breasts that didn't give them any trouble. 2 natural, nice breasts that didn't cause them any grief. You have children, you got a nice husband who said to you, dear, I love you just the way you are. Don't do anything. You're going to have surgery now 3 times in order to...
Well, if he would have done it properly, I would have only had the 2. I would have been satisfied with what I wanted, what I asked for.
Miss Lucio, I can't tell from your photographs the extent of the difference. So if you want to come back into chambers with me and you want to show me what your breasts look like, and I am not an expert, so I'm just a lay person looking at you and seeing whether there's such an aberration so that there is such negligence on the part of the doctor so that I should award you $5,000. I'm certainly prepared to do that. Is that what you want to do?
That's fine.
Let's go.
Step over this way, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Dr. Cole, I must tell you that when we were in the back, I had no conversation with Mrs. Lucio with regard to this case. She was very upset. She still seems to be very upset, and what I was trying to do was to calm her a little bit and to tell her that if she wasn't prepared to proceed with this matter today, I was prepared to adjourn it unless she could compose herself. But we did not discuss the case because I know you were not with me. You might have felt certain misgivings. Do you understand?
I have no misgivings, Your Honor.
Good. Miss Lucio, I want you to look at me. I'm jealous. I say that in the hope to get a smile on your face, madam. I will tell you that what I viewed back there was a hell of a lot better than the photographs, the preoperative photographs that were furnished to me by Dr. Cole. And quite frankly, Mr. Lucio, I think you are exaggerating to a tremendous extent. What you said was a vast difference in the size of your wife's breasts. I certainly did not see it. I saw a breast enlargement that clearly was larger than what she had. The shape was much better than what she had.
And whatever difference in size was de minimis to my naked, untrained eye. And I tell you, Miss Lucio, right now that I believe that if you're prepared to put yourself through another surgical procedure, then there's something more involved here than the desire to have perfect, huge breasts. And that you would be very wise to address what it is that's really motivating you to do this. To cut yourself up every couple of years in the quest to have the perfect breast. You are the mother of, you told me in the back, 3 children. Right? You've got a husband who seems like a nice guy who says, I like you just the way you are. What I saw back there to me, it's as close to perfect as you could want. And yet you're not satisfied, so there's something else there. And I suggest that it may need a different kind of doctor to address what would motivate someone like you who has 3 healthy kids, doesn't have breast cancer, thank God, doesn't have anything wrong with themselves, to put you through 3 surgeries because you see that one breast is slightly smaller than the other. Insane. And for you to encourage her in that regard, sir, is wrong. You know what? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I understand.
I know you understand. You seem like an intelligent man. Don't encourage her. There's something else there in your wife's head that she's unhappy with. And if this is the vehicle that she's using in order to satisfy that, it's destructive. Dr. Cole, I don't think you made any errors when you did the surgical procedure on the plaintiff. I'm dismissing her lawsuit. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I think she saw that they were uneven. To her, something small and minute. You know, I just think that if any woman was thinking about having it done with Dr. Cole, his code of ethics is very poor.
No, I've been doing this 21 years. I never had anybody write me to court over this. Well, I feel very sorry that I couldn't make the Lucios happier, and that's about all I have to say.
The judge obviously is out of touch with reality, and it's her courtroom. She's my wife, and I love her.
During their 3-year marriage, Danielle claims Mario left her to raise their 3 children on her own, but Mario says he's not the father of Danielle's kids and owes her nothing.
Order, all rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please, all rise. Yeah, this is case number 148 on the calendar in the matter of Thomas versus Thomas. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
You folks are married and are in the process of divorcing. There are a couple of issues that you raised, Mrs. Thomas. First, you raised the issue of some credit card bills that you say your husband owes you.
Yes, ma'am.
And second, you say that you are suing him for pain and suffering during the course of your marriage. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
A couple of things I don't understand. How long have you been married?
3 years.
And you have 2 children?
Yes, ma'am.
And you are expecting a 3rd?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas says that none of those children are his.
Correct, Your Honor.
And how old is the oldest child?
She'll be 3 in November.
So that you're married 3 years, you have 2.5 children.
Mm-hmm.
None of them are his.
Mm-hmm.
How can you claim that he harassed you?
Because, Your Honor, when we got married, he knew full well that I was pregnant. He said he would accept the responsibilities of being a father to my child.
He said that in his answer.
And when we got married, shortly after we got married, you know, things started changing. He changed and started acting, you know, differently than what he had said he was going to do. And he left and said he had wanted a divorce. And that put stress on my body and on me, and going through a pregnancy, as you know, it's very stressful anyway. And when he left, that put stress on me. I went into premature labor with my daughter. She was born at 36 weeks.
Okay, but she's fine and healthy now,
She's
is that right?
fine and healthy.
Okay.
Now, when I was pregnant with my 2nd child, he came back and said he wanted to work things out, and we got back together.
Did you tell him that the 2nd child wasn't his?
Yes, ma'am. He knew that it was my son was not his.
The second child?
Yes.
Well, how did that come about? How long were you separated?
We were separated for about 7 or 8 months. And then...
and how pregnant were you when he decided that he wanted to come back?
When he decided to come back, I was like 6.5, maybe 7 months pregnant.
So right away you went out and found somebody else?
No, not. It wasn't.
Well,
I'm
not really good at math. Bert can attest to that.
Yeah.
But if you were 6.5 months pregnant and you were separated for 7 months, it didn't take you long to find a substitute for him.
No, ma'am, it didn't.
So then what happened?
And then when he decided he wanted to come back, he wanted to get back together with me, I said yes, and we got back together, and everything was fine.
What happened to the father of this child?
I left. Me and him had broken up.
And then what happened?
During my pregnancy, during the end of my pregnancy with Mario, when I was pregnant with him, he said that he would take care of the child. That's why my son is named after him. He's a junior. He signed my son's birth certificate and everything. And
sounds like a nice guy.
Yes, he seemed to be a nice guy, Your Honor. But yeah. Things started changing again.
Like what?
He started started going over to his sister's house. I didn't, have a problem with him visiting his sister and everything, but he would be gone 4 and 5 days at a time and wouldn't even call to say, how you doing or anything. He would just be gone.
So that's the emotional stress that you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am. And then, my son has a problem. He has asthma. He had a problem with his lungs when he was born by me going into labor at 34 weeks when he left me the second time.
So then he left you the second time. And how long were you separated the second time?
We were separated for about 9 months, 9.5 months.
And how pregnant are you now?
I'm 8 months pregnant.
Is that the stress that you're suing for? His leaving you?
Yes, ma'am. When he left me in a financial bind as well as an emotional bind also, because we were together and we had bills, different bills, like furniture bills and stuff like that. When he left, I had to pay those.
Who has the furniture?
I do.
Now, what are these credit card bills that you're talking about?
Some credit cards that I had gotten, and I had charged some things for him while we were together.
Like what?
Some stuff for his, he has a keyboard, different things for his keyboard and clothing or something.
How much did you charge for him?
7.
I want to see proof of that.
I have a credit card statement here. It has the balance out that I have been paying on from Sears. That I have here. It has the balance. I just wanted him to pay half of it.
Well, I don't. He's not responsible for the whole balance.
I know half of the balance, Your Honor.
Well, what items are on there?
This credit card statement here does not have the items that are on it. It just has the complete balance that I owe on the bill.
Well, I can't. That's not proof, madam, of anything. I don't know when you made those purchases. I don't know what those purchases were. You say that they were solely for him.
Yes, most of the purchases were.
First you said some, then you said most.
Majority of the purchases were for him.
Well, then you should have brought me the bill that says this is what the items were. You must have that bill.
Yes, I did, but I didn't bring that on. Van Bar was the one that had the total amount due.
Did you ever charge anything on her Sears card, sir?
I didn't know she had one, ma'am.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He just plays with women's minds and their emotions and everything because he thinks he's a pretty boy, that's all.
And later today...
You put any kind of schmutz you want in the washer and dryer and then expect her to take it back.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Danielle Thomas is suing her husband Mario for pain and suffering because he left her to raise their 3 kids on her own. Mario says he doesn't believe the children are his and feels he owes her nothing.
Now, I want you to be honest with me. Did you ever charge anything on her Sears card, sir?
No, ma'am, not at all.
Okay. Do you pay any support for her?
No, ma'am.
What about child support? Are you seeking child support from him?
No, ma'am, I am not. Not at this time.
At any time?
No, ma'am.
Not so sure about that. How do you support yourself?
I'm on aid from my state. It's called AFDC for my children.
Mm-hmm. You living with the father of this baby that you're going to have?
No, ma'am. I have my own apartment.
Who is the father of this baby that you're going to have?
Brian.
What does he do for a living?
He works at Sharp, and he works at Federal Express.
And who's the father of your second child?
Moses.
Does he pay any support for the child?
It will be starting in 3 months.
But so far he hasn't paid
No,
any
ma'am.
support. And the father of your first child?
Raymond, he...
Does he pay support for the child?
No, not through the court system. No, he doesn't. But he does give her money, and he buys her things that she needs.
You have anything you want to tell me, sir?
Yes. A lot of things she said about me changing, that's not true, Your Honor. When in the beginning, she told me she was raped. And I had no problem with that. I mean, I could accept it, and because I felt she was being honest with me. And about 2.5 months later, or after everything was rolling all good, it just kept coming back to me because of the way she said it. That it happened in her house and everybody was asleep. And I had already talked to her brother. And her brother had told me that the guy Raymond, she already liked him and was flirting around with him anyway.
So the person that she told you raped her was somebody that you now believe she just went to bed with?
Yes, ma'am, because she admitted to it. When
you confronted her with it?
Yes, ma'am.
So that was just a story that she had been raped?
Yes, ma'am.
So that made you mad?
Hurt and mad at the same time. And what made it so bad is when I asked her, she laughed like it was a joke. And I didn't really know how to say, well, this is over or anything like that. So I took some time and went to my sister's house. And she already didn't like me going to my sister's house anyway.
Okay, but you went to your sister's house really to escape a little bit and to think?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. How old are you, sir?
24.
What kind of work do you do?
I work at Baskin-Robbins and I'm a part-time model.
How old are you?
21.
All right, Miss Thomas. You get lecture number 307. Officer Byrd is familiar with this lecture. It's unfortunately one that I have given before. You're 21 years old, going to have 3 children by 3 different fathers, none of whom support their children. Those children are being supported by me and the rest of the taxpayers in this country. You've acted wholly irresponsibly in your life with regard to that, wholly irresponsibly to your children. Not easy growing up as one of 3 children, and each one has a different father. Father's Day in your house, you're going to need a revolving door to set up the visitation. That's immature, irresponsible, and very stupid. Now, I don't know where you get the best word that I can think of is chutzpah, which means nerve, to come into court and sue him for mental and emotional stress. I haven't heard, madam, that he's caused you any mental or emotional stress. As a matter of fact, I think based upon what you've told me and what he's told me, he exercised a great deal of restraint by just walking out of the house and going to his sister's house. As far as these credit card bills that you're talking about, you have produced no proof that is satisfactory to me that he owes you a penny. Nothing. Truth of the matter is, the only thing that's irritating is since you support yourself by welfare and you pay your Sears bill by welfare, I'm really paying the Sears bill. So that's irritating. That's irritating number 3. Your lawsuit is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Alphabetical to your right, please.
He would constantly keep calling and lying to me, saying he wanted to get back with me and everything. And, it's just a bunch of mess. That's all it really was.
And now the next case.
Parties on Williams versus Brazil. Step forward, please.
24-year-old Adrienne Williams says when she was sharing a storage unit with her friend Melvin Brazil, he took her washer and dryer. Melvin